Kobe and Dirk. During the 2011 NBA lockout, Kobe Bryant was in serious talks to play for Virtus Bologna in Italy. Not just casual talks either. Real negotiations, real money, real discussions about building a temporary roster around him. At the same time, Dirk Nowitzki, who had just won the 2011 NBA championship and finals MVP, was openly saying he'd consider heading back to Europe to play. Dirk had roots there too, having played professionally in Germany before coming to the NBA. European teams saw the lockout as an opportunity, and they weren't wrong. Virtus Bologna was aggressively pursuing Kobe and exploring what a stacked temporary lineup could look like. The idea started gaining real traction because lockout contracts were short-term and flexible, and European teams were willing to do whatever it took for the exposure. Think about what that pairing would have actually been. Dirk, a 7-footer who could shoot from anywhere, alongside Kobe, one of the greatest perimeter scorers ever, two of the most skilled offensive players in NBA history on the same European roster for a few months. It didn't happen because the NBA lockout ended before anything was finalized. Both players came back to the league without ever suiting up overseas together. But the fact that it came that close is genuinely wild. Two all-time greats, already at the peak of their legacies, almost sharing a locker room in Italy of all places. The lockout nearly gave us something nobody asked for, but everyone would have watched. Looney equals KD. In 2014, Kevon Looney was one of the most talked about high school prospects in the entire country. He was a 5-star recruit, a McDonald's All-American, and at Hamilton High School in Milwaukee, he was putting up numbers that didn't make sense for a high schooler. His senior season averages were 27.9 points, 12.7 rebounds, 7 assists, and 8 blocks per game. Major outlets were describing that stat line as nearly a quadruple double on a nightly basis. He's 6'9", but he was handling the ball on the perimeter, creating shots, passing like a guard, and doing it all at an elite level. That combination is exactly why mixtapes started calling him the next Kevin Durant. It wasn't just hype either. His team went undefeated in conference play, won the conference title, and Looney took home Wisconsin Mr. Basketball. National recruiting rankings had him among the very best in the country. At UCLA, he led all freshmen nationally in double-doubles in his first year. Lottery pick projections were real and backed by what he was actually doing on the court. The KD comparison came specifically because he played like a guard at near 7-foot size across every single statistical category, which almost nobody at that age could do. He was versatile in a way that felt genuinely special before he ever played a college game, and yet, here he is, known today mostly as a role player for Golden State. Sometimes, the hype just doesn't match the outcome, no matter how real it looked at the time. Both white, on March 13th, 2022, the Oklahoma City Thunder and Memphis Grizzlies both showed up to their game wearing white uniforms. Both teams, same color, standing on the same court at tip-off. The NBA had removed the traditional home equals white, away equals color rule back in 2017, giving teams the flexibility to choose from multiple uniform options. That flexibility is also what caused the problem. Oklahoma City was scheduled to wear white. Memphis was supposed to wear blue. Memphis showed up in white anyway. Referees stopped the game before it even started. Memphis had to go back to the locker room, change into their blue uniforms, and the game was delayed several minutes. It was described as a breakdown in communication between the teams and the league's uniform coordination system. And it wasn't just similar shades of white, it was the exact same primary color on both sides, which made it genuinely impossible to tell the rosters apart. Memphis came back out in blue. The game resumed, and they went on to win 125-118. The whole situation lasted only a few minutes, but it remains one of the most visually absurd moments in recent NBA history. Two professional franchises, both with full front offices and league coordination behind them, still somehow ended up on the same court looking identical. The modern uniform system gives teams more options, but on that night, having more options created a problem nobody thought was actually possible. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kobe versus Pau. Before the 2008 Beijing Olympics even tipped off, Kobe Bryant told his Team USA teammates exactly what he was going to do on the very first possession against Spain. He said he was going to run straight through Pau's chest. LeBron James and Dwyane Wade both recalled hearing it. Kobe knew Spain's opening play, knew Gasol would be setting a screen, and planned to send a message before the game had even found a rhythm. On that first possession, Gasol set a screen. Kobe came through at full speed and knocked him directly to the floor. Kobe was called for a foul. Gasol later said Kobe went right through the middle of his chest. The part that makes this genuinely strange is that Kobe and Gasol were Lakers teammates. They had just played together in the 2008 NBA Finals months earlier. Kobe had even visited Gasol in the Olympic Village before the game, spending time with the Spanish team socially. Then he walked onto the court and made his first act a calculated physical collision with his own teammate. According to the players who were there, the move immediately shifted the intensity of the entire Team USA group. It sent a message that the gold medal was the only thing that mattered, teammates on the other side of the court included. The Redeem Team went on to win gold after the United States had finished with a disappointing bronze at the 2004 Olympics. That first possession set the tone for all of it. F. Trae Young. During Game 1 of the 2026 Eastern Conference Playoffs at Madison Square Garden, Knicks fans broke into a loud chant directed at Trae Young. That would be a completely normal thing to say, except Trae Young wasn't in the game. He wasn't even in the building. He had been traded to the Washington Wizards earlier that season. The opposing team in the playoffs wasn't Atlanta. Young had no connection to the series at all, and yet the chant was clearly audible and described by multiple outlets as breaking out late in the game. It goes back to 2021 when Trae Young averaged 29.2 points and 9.8 assists in a playoff series against the Knicks, and spent the entire time taunting the crowd and embracing the villain role at Madison Square Garden. That moment apparently burned itself into the building permanently. By 2026, media outlets were already writing about the chant before the playoffs even started, calling it a regular expectation heading into any postseason run for New York. One of those outlets described Young's presence as a ghost hanging over the rivalry despite his absence. He's not on the team. He's not in the city. He's not in the playoff. And they're still chanting. That's the level of impact one playoff series had on an entire FANB ace. Young turned himself into a permanent fixture of Madison Square Garden culture without playing a single game there in years. Combat basketball. In 1991, a Super Nintendo basketball game came out called Bill Laimbeer's Combat Basketball. The concept was simple. It's the year 2030. Bill Laimbeer is the commissioner of a futuristic basketball league, and his first move is to fire every single referee and remove all the rules. No fouls, no violations. Players can shove, hit, and physically attack each other freely. Weapons like bombs appear on the court. The crowd can interfere with the game. Scoring is almost secondary to just surviving. The whole thing was a rebranded version of a game originally called Future Basketball, retitled specifically to match Laimbeer's real-life reputation as a Detroit Pistons center, who was one of the most physically aggressive and widely disliked players in the league. He was the face of the bad boys era in Detroit, known for hard fouls, intimidation, and making every game feel like a contact sport. The game developers looked at that reputation and thought, this guy should run a lawless basketball league in the future. And honestly, it fits. Laimbeer's entire identity during his playing career was based on breaking the unwritten rules of how the game was supposed to be played. Turning that into an actual game mechanic where breaking rules is the point is a genuinely strange kind of tribute. It's one of the only sports video games ever made where the core gameplay loop is built entirely around a real player's reputation for being difficult to deal with. Providence Steamrollers. The Providence Steamrollers were one of the original 11 franchises in professional basketball history, founded in 1946 as part of the Basketball Association of America, the league that eventually became the NBA. They played in Providence, Rhode Island, at the Rhode Island Auditorium, and they lasted exactly 3 seasons before folding completely in 1949. Their total record across those 3 years was 46 wins and 122 losses. Their worst season was the 1947-48 year, when they went 6-42. That 6-win season is still the fewest wins in a single season in NBA history. They never made the playoffs once, not a single postseason appearance across their entire existence. Their coach Nat Hickey activated himself as a player during that stretch and played at age 45, just days before turning 46, which made him the oldest player in NBA history. The team also played in the first Christmas Day game in NBA history in 1947. After folding, 7 of their players were bought out and sent directly to the Boston Celtics. The franchise just disappeared. One of the founding teams of what became the most popular basketball league on the planet, gone after 3 years, holding the record for the worst single season win total ever, with a coach who had to put himself in the lineup. Early professional basketball was genuinely chaotic in ways that are hard to fully picture today. Chandler deal. On February 17, 2009, the Oklahoma City Thunder completed a trade for Tyson Chandler. The Thunder were sending Chris Wilcox, Joe Smith, and the rights to Devon Harden to the New Orleans Hornets in exchange for Chandler, who was 26 years old at the time, and a starting center for a Hornets team that had been a 2 seed the previous season. Chandler arrived in Oklahoma City for his mandatory physical exam. The Thunder's medical staff went through the evaluation and refused to clear him. Their specific concern was his left big toe, which had previously been surgically treated. The team doctor determined the long-term risk of re-injury was too high. The trade was fully rescinded the next day, February 18, 2009. Chandler was technically a member of the Thunder for less than 24 hours. When the news came out, Chandler's reaction was direct. He said he was super shocked and called it nuts. Thunder general manager Sam Presti cited the medical consultations as the reason for the decision. The wildest part of the whole situation is that the trade was already done. It had been completed and announced. Chandler had traveled to Oklahoma City. The team just looked at the results of one physical and reversed the entire thing. Not because he was injured at that moment, not because he couldn't play, but because of a projection about future risk, based on a toe that had already been operated on years earlier. Completed trades getting voided is rare, but voiding one over a single toe is a different level entirely. Benny the Bull. In the 1974 NBA playoffs, during a Bulls vs. Bucks series game, referee Earl Strom ejected a mascot, not a player, not a coach, a mascot. Benny the Bull had been the official Chicago Bulls mascot since 1969. During the game, Bulls head coach Dick Motta argued a call, received a technical foul, kept arguing, and was eventually ejected. As Motta was leaving the court, Benny the Bull ran out onto the floor, charged toward the referees, and made obscene gestures directly at officials. Earl Strom, who was known throughout his career for strict and aggressive officiating, treated the situation the same way he'd treat any other disruption. He ejected Benny the Bull from the game. Security had to physically remove the mascot from the court. This is widely considered the first time a mascot was ejected in NBA history. What makes it genuinely strange is that Strom applied the rules to someone in a costume during a playoff game who was not a player, not a coach, and not technically a participant in the game at all. The mascot ran out, escalated a situation that was already heated, and got thrown out like a veteran who had crossed the line one too many times. The Bulls were eliminated in that playoff run. Benny the Bull was ejected. It was not a good stretch for Chicago. Penny Magic. In the 1993 NBA draft, Penny Hardaway was selected 3rd overall by the Golden State Warriors. Orlando had the first pick and selected Chris Webber. With plans to build around him and Shaq, Hardaway had a different idea. He wanted to play with Shaq in Orlando. Before the draft, Hardaway personally called Magic personnel and asked what he needed to do to prove himself. He then requested another workout with the team and told them to design it however they wanted. Orlando put him in a pickup game against NBA-level players and team personnel, essentially a pro-level audition just 2 days before the draft. Hardaway dominated it completely, showing elite ball handling, passing, and scoring at 6'7", reinforcing comparisons to Magic Johnson that had already been circulating. Orlando changed course almost immediately after. They traded Chris Webber to Golden State in exchange for Hardaway and 3 future first-round picks. By 1995, Hardaway and Shaq had turned the Magic into a 57-win team that reached the NBA Finals. A draft prospect called a team himself, asked for a second chance, got it, and completely reshaped the top of the draft just days before it happened. That's the kind of player agency that wasn't supposed to exist yet. The player empowerment era is usually associated with a later generation, but Hardaway was doing it in 1993, before most people had a name for it. Muggsy Story. The story goes that during practices at the University of North Carolina in the late 1980s, J.E.R. Reed, a 6'9" forward and star of the program, claimed he could pin Muggsy Bogues physically. The size difference was obvious. Reed had nearly 1.5 feet on Bogues, who stood 5'3". What Reed apparently did not account for was that Bogues was benching over 300 pounds and had a center of gravity that made him extremely difficult to move. Bogues was known throughout his career as one of the strongest pound-for-pound players in the league. Low center of gravity, elite leverage, and a frame built for exactly the kind of grappling situation Reed was inviting. According to the story, Bogues responded to the challenge by lifting Reed, dropping him, and pinning him to the ground. Reed was a traditional forward who relied on height and length. Bogues used leverage and strength, The size mismatch that Reed assumed would work in his favor ended up being irrelevant. It's one of those stories that completely flips the expected logic of how physical matchups in basketball work. Height and reach dominate the sport at every level. A 5'3" player making it to the NBA at all is already an anomaly. A 5'3" player physically overpowering a 6'9" teammate in a wrestling situation is something else entirely. Bogue spent his whole career proving that the numbers on a roster sheet didn't always tell the real story. Untouchable Grimes. Quentin Grimes was selected 25th overall by the New York Knicks in the 2021 NBA draft. By the 2022-23 season, he had become a legitimate 3-and-D wing with real upside, and the Knicks viewed him as a core young piece of their future. When the team was in serious discussions to trade for Donovan Mitchell, Grimes was labeled untouchable in negotiations. The Knicks chose to keep him, rather than include him in a package that would have brought Mitchell to New York. Then the February 2024 trade deadline arrived. The Knicks sent Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, Ryan Arcidiacono, and 2 second-round picks to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks. The move was described as a win-now decision, with the Knicks needing veteran shooting and bench depth after acquiring OG earlier that season. Grimes went from the player who blocked a superstar trade to trade filler in a multiplayer depth deal, all within roughly 18 months. After getting to Detroit, he played limited games due to injury and was later included in another trade involving Dallas. The same front office that considered him too valuable to move for a star decided he was a reasonable piece to include in a deal for role players and second rounders. Asset value in the NBA can completely reverse without warning, and the Grimes situation is one of the clearest recent examples of how fast that can happen. Forgot him. During the 2022-23 NBA season, Mark Jackson was one of 100 media members responsible for submitting an MVP ballot. Nikola Jokic was the 2-time defending MVP that year. He averaged 24.5 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 9.8 assists per game, led the Denver Nuggets to the #1 seed in the Western Conference, and was one of the most dominant players in the league. When the ballots were revealed publicly, Jokic appeared on 99 out of 100 of them. The one ballot that left him off entirely belonged to Mark Jackson. Jackson's top 5 was Joel Embiid first, Giannis Antetokounmpo second, Jason Tatum third, Shai Gilgeous, Alexander fourth, and Donovan Mitchell fifth. He publicly said it was an absolute mistake made by him. His explanation was that he filled out the ballot with a positional structure in mind, 1 center, 2 forwards, 2 guards, and built his list around that framework instead of pure ranking. He also said that if Jokic had been on his ballot, he would have placed him second or third. Jokic ended up finishing second in MVP voting that year. The omission wasn't strategic, wasn't a statement, and wasn't intentional. A 2-time defending MVP who averaged near a triple-double and led his team to the top seed was left off one ballot entirely because of how the voter organized his mental checklist. It's one of the strangest MVP voting moments in recent history. President Bradley. Bill Bradley played 10 seasons in the NBA, won 2 championships with the New York Knicks in 1970 and 1973, and averaged 12.4 points per game across 742 regular season games. Then he retired and went directly into politics. He was elected to represent New Jersey in the United States Senate in 1979 and served 3 full terms, 18 years total. On January 12, 1999, he announced he was running for president. His opponent in the 2000 Democratic primaries was sitting Vice President Al Gore. Bradley positioned himself as the more progressive candidate, running on universal health care, gun control, and campaign finance reform. He also proposed billions in annual education funding and a program to add 60,000 teachers over 10 years. He raised significant money early in the campaign, but lost the Iowa caucus by a wide margin and fell short in New Hampshire, 53 to 47% against Gore. The campaign ended after those early defeats. The reason this fits a list of unusual stories is straightforward. Most NBA players who become household names stay connected to the sport in some capacity after retiring. Bradley left the league, won a Senate seat, held it for 18 years, and then launched a full presidential campaign against a sitting vice president. The path from NBA champion to United States Senator to presidential candidate is not one that has been replicated. It's a career arc that doesn't exist in any other form. Isaiah Thomas, in Game 5 of the 1984 NBA Playoffs between the Detroit Pistons and New York Knicks. Isaiah Thomas scored 16 points in 94 seconds. The Pistons were trailing late in the fourth quarter. Thomas personally erased the deficit through mid-range shots, drives to the rim, free throws, and a clutch three-pointer. He sent the game to overtime by himself. The arena held over 20,000 fans. Thomas finished with 35 total points for the game. In overtime, Knicks star Bernard King scored 44 points on the night, and New York won 127-123. The Pistons were eliminated. What happened in those 94 seconds remains one of the fastest individual scoring bursts in playoff history. Thomas did everything that a player is supposed to do in a must-win moment. He took over, he closed the gap, he forced overtime, and he still lost. Not because he fell apart, but because the other team had Bernard King, who was just as locked in on the other side. 35 points in a playoff elimination game where you score 16 in 94 seconds and still go home is a genuinely rare combination of events. The performance was historic. The result was the opposite. It's the kind of game that sticks around in basketball history precisely because it was extraordinary and heartbreaking at the exact same time. Stockton stat. At the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, the United States men's basketball team, known as Dream Team 3, featured Hakeem, David Robinson, Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone, and Charles Barkley. It was one of the most physically dominant rosters ever assembled for international competition. Multiple players, standing over 6'10", multiple all-time elite shot blockers, and yet across 8 games at those Olympics, the team leader in total blocks was John Stockton, a 6'1" point guard. Stockton recorded 4 blocks in 8 games. Shaq finished with 3. David Robinson finished with 3. Hakeem recorded 2. Stockton averaged 0.5 blocks per game, while playing roughly 12 minutes per contest, far fewer minutes than the big men. Part of the explanation is that Team USA was so dominant that opponents frequently avoided attacking the paint against Robinson, Shaq, and Hakeem. A lot of possessions ended in jump shots or turnovers before anyone reached the rim, which meant the centers had fewer opportunities to record blocks in the first place. Stockton's blocks came from help side timing, strips, and rotations, rather than traditional rim protection. Still, the final tally is what it is. On one of the most size-dominant Olympic rosters in basketball history, the smallest player on the team led everyone in blocks. That's a fact that doesn't get easier to explain the more you think about it. Antoine's story. Antawn Jamison grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and his father installed a basketball hoop at their home. The rim on that hoop was set at approximately 11 feet, not the regulation 10 feet used at every level of organized basketball. Every shot Jamison took growing up required more lift, a higher arc, and more force than what his peers were practicing with. Over time, that adjustment became permanent. His shooting style developed with an unusually high release point, extreme arc, and a soft touch that made his attempts look different from almost everyone else in the league. He won the National Player of the Year award in 1998 at the University of North Carolina. He went on to score over 20,000 points in the NBA, building a long career on unorthodox finishes, soft floaters, and a unique touch around the rim. The mechanics that defined his offensive game were shaped directly by a rim that was set too high in his backyard. His arc was higher than standard because it had to be. His touch was softer than most because he had spent years developing it against a target that required more precision than regulation. It's one of the stranger origin stories in basketball because the thing that shaped his entire skill set wasn't a coach, a system, or a drill. It was a misbuilt hoop that nobody corrected. 1-0. Basketball was invented in 1891 by Dr. James Naismith in a gym in Springfield, Massachusetts. The first game ever played used a soccer ball. The goals were peach baskets nailed to the wall. There was no dribbling. Players could not run with the ball. Movement required passing. After each made basket, the game had to stop completely so someone could retrieve the ball from the peach basket manually. The final score of that first game was 1-0. The only basket was scored by a player named William Chase. The pace of play was extremely slow. The physicality resembled rugby-style passing more than anything recognizable as modern basketball. A recreation of the game was later played using the original rules, soccer ball, and peach baskets to confirm what early gameplay actually looked like. The sport that now regularly produces games with scores in the 100s started with a single made basket and a final score of 1-0. It wasn't played with a basketball, it wasn't played on a court designed for the sport, and virtually nothing about it resembles what the game became over the next 100 years. Most sports have a version of their origin story that feels distant from the modern game. Basketball's version is arguably the most extreme example of that gap. Bad teammate. On October 20th, 2018, a brawl broke out during a Lakers versus Rockets game involving Rajon Rondo, Chris Paul, and Brandon Ingram. The suspensions that followed were Ingram receiving 4 games, Rondo receiving 3 games, and Paul receiving 2 games. After the incident, Rondo sat down with ESPN and said directly that people don't know Paul is a horrible teammate and don't know how he treats people. He also referenced Paul attempting to enter the Clippers locker room the previous year as additional context. Glenn Davis, who played with Paul during the Lob City era in Los Angeles, also went public with criticism of Paul's leadership and how he treated teammates internally. What makes this story genuinely strange is the contrast. Chris Paul is one of the most respected point guards in the league history, a player credited with elevating franchises and making teammates better. At the same time, multiple former teammates went on record calling him out, specifically for how he treated the people around him in private. Both things exist simultaneously. The public reputation and the private reality have been described in almost opposite terms by people who were actually in the locker room. That disconnect between how Paul is perceived from the outside and what people who played alongside him have said publicly is one of the more unusual narratives tied to any star player of his era. Quad Dub. On February 18th, 1985, Larry Bird played against the Utah Jazz and recorded 30 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 9 steals in 3 quarters. The Celtics had a comfortable lead heading into the 4th quarter. Bird did not return to the court. He finished the game on the bench. A quadruple-double in NBA history is one of the rarest statistical achievements in the sport. Only a handful of official ones exist. Bird was 1 steal away, had an entire quarter remaining, and simply did not play it. The game was already won, and he stayed seated. He was sitting at 30, 12, 10, and 9. The record was there. He didn't reach it. It became one of the most well-known near misses in NBA history, not because of bad luck or injury, but because the game was over and there was no reason to keep him in. What's strange about it is that quadruple doubles almost never happen by accident. They usually require maximum effort across all 4 categories. Simultaneously, in a real competitive situation, Bird managed to reach the edge of 1 in 3 quarters against a legitimate NBA opponent and then walked off the floor 1 steal short. That's the kind of story that doesn't have a dramatic ending. It just stops. And somehow that makes it more memorable. Weird trade. In 1983, the Indiana Pacers traded Don Buse to the Portland Trail Blazers. What the Pacers received in return was not a player, not a draft pick, and not cash. They received John Spoelstra, who was Portland's vice president and marketing executive, for 1 week of consulting services. Bus was not a fringe player. He had won an ABA championship, earned all defensive team recognition in the NBA, and was considered one of the top defensive guards of the late 1970s. Spoelstra was known for innovative ticket sales strategies and was brought in specifically to help the Pacers with their business operations for 7 days. The exchange was an NBA player for a week of marketing consultation. That's it. That's the full trade. There's no version of this that fits into any normal framework for how professional sports transactions are supposed to work. Players get traded for players, picks, or money. The concept of exchanging a former ABA champion for temporary business advice is genuinely without precedent in any professional sports league. The return value lasted 1 week. Bus went to Portland. The Pacers got consulting. It remains one of the only known cases in league history where an NBA roster move involved a non-basketball asset. Tim Duncan. San Antonio was spiraling after a 20-62 season. Then they landed the top pick with less than a 1-4 shot. They drafted Tim Duncan and everything flipped. He averaged over 21 points and almost 12 rebounds as a rookie, started every single game, and snagged Rookie of the Year. That's not normal. His presence with a healthy David Robinson formed the Twin Towers, and they powered the team to 56 wins. Just 1 year before, they couldn't win 21. By year 2, Duncan had led them to their first title and grabbed the playoff MVP. It didn't stop there. He ended with 5 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs, and the most all-defensive selections ever at the time. The guy changed how they played, how they drafted, even how they talked about basketball. He never made it about himself, and that rubbed off on everybody. Duncan helped build a team-first culture that lasted decades. He holds every major franchise record that matters. His jersey's retired, his legacy cemented, and they're still trying to build off what he created even now with Victor Wembanyama. That's how you flip a franchise, from lottery to dynasty. LeBron James. Cleveland had less than a 1 in 4 chance at the top pick in 2003, but luck hit, and they picked the high school phenom from Akron. LeBron showed up and changed the entire tone. On draft night, they even ditched the old look and brought back wine and gold. The team jumped from 17 wins to 35 in his rookie year. He averaged nearly 21 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds. First rookie of the year in Cavs history. By year 2, he was an all-star. By year 4, he led them to their first ever NBA Finals. In 2009, he brought them to 66 wins and won league MVP. Then came the fallout. He left in 2010, and they fell apart. 19 wins, a 26-game losing streak, and franchise value collapsed. He came back in 2014 and dragged them to 4 straight finals, finally winning it all in 2016 with a historic comeback. Off the court, downtown exploded with business. Jerseys flew off shelves. He made Cleveland matter, then did it again, twice. That's not hype. That's one man flipping a franchise. Magic Johnson. The Lakers picked him first overall in 1979, and he brought a title that same season. He went from NCAA champ to all-star starter in a few months, averaging 18 points, over 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. They won 60 games. Then he really broke basketball. With Kareem out for Game 6 of the finals, Magic, just 20 years old, started at center, dropped 42 points, grabbed 15 boards, and dished 7 assists. He hit every single free throw. The guy had never played center before. He became the only rookie to win Finals MVP. That game didn't just win them the title, it launched Showtime. His no-look, passes, alley-oops, and flashy pace turned every Laker game into a spectacle. He helped lead them to 5 championships and snagged 3 Finals MVPs. He ended with 138 triple-doubles, led the league in assists 4 times, and holds the highest assist average ever. He was the Lakers' face, spirit, and engine. His $25 million contract back then also redefined player value. The Lakers became a global brand, and it all flipped the moment Magic walked through the door and told them they were gonna win. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm gonna be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Allen Iverson. Philadelphia had just 18 wins before drafting him first overall in 1996. The franchise was desperate, and Iverson, barely 6 feet tall, was pure energy in sneakers. From day one, he turned heads and turned up the volume. He won Rookie of the Year, crossed up Michael Jordan, and made the league take notice. He played more minutes than anyone for years, led the league in scoring 4 times, and by 2001, had dragged the Sixers to the NBA Finals. That team hadn't been relevant since 1983. They lost to the Lakers, but Iverson's presence on that stage shifted everything. He wore tattoos, cornrows, headbands, sleeves, all considered unprofessional at the time, and turned them into cultural currency. He signed a lifelong shoe deal with Reebok. He inspired a generation of smaller guards and remade basketball fashion, style, and swagger. His game was relentless, his crossover iconic, and his defiance never hidden. The Sixers went from pitiful to powerful, all because of one undersized, uncompromising star. He didn't just play, he rebranded the franchise. Within 2 seasons, the Sixers were legit contenders. That's not hype. That's how Iverson rewired Philadelphia overnight and forced the league to evolve. Victor Wembanyama. San Antonio picked him first overall in 2023, joining a shortlist with Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Right away, he brought something different, a 7'4" frame with guard skills. He averaged over 21 points, 10 rebounds, nearly 4 blocks, and almost 4 assists in his first season. He blocked 8 shots in one game and dropped 38 points on Phoenix, doing things no rookie had done since LeBron and Duncan. He became the youngest Rookie of the Year ever, led the league in blocks, made all-defensive first team, and nearly won Defensive Player of the Year. The Spurs went from 22 wins to nationally televised must-watch games. They didn't trade for stars because they already had one. His nickname, the Alien, started making sense. He guarded every position, made threes, and handled the ball like a guard. Off the court, jersey sales soared, international attention exploded, and their brand was back. He even bulked up to nearly 245 pounds without losing mobility. That's not just rare, that's absurd. His rookie year wasn't about hype. It was dominance, strategy, culture, and identity, all shifting because one giant teenager landed in San Antonio. Anthony Davis. New Orleans had nothing going when they picked him first overall in 2012. They were coming off a forgettable season and needed an anchor. Davis was it. Straight out of Kentucky, he brought shot blocking, rebounding, and mobility no big man had. He didn't just rack up stats, he gave New Orleans an identity. In just his second year, he was averaging over 20 points and nearly 3 blocks. The Pelicans had been stuck in the lottery, but with Davis, they had a defensive core and star power to build around. By year 3, he was an all-star and led them to the playoffs. That team had no business being in the postseason without him. He was everything. Rim protector, shot creator, and floor stretcher. He changed how they drafted, how they played, how they marketed the franchise. Before Davis, New Orleans was irrelevant. With him, they became a team that could scare contenders. He set the stage for what came next. Zion, the rebuild, and all the future picks they got by trading him. But it started with Davis. He gave them years of playoff hope and made people care about New Orleans basketball again, practically the moment he arrived. Chris Paul. New Orleans drafted him 4th in 2005 and immediately doubled their win total. The team jumped from 18 to 38 wins, and Paul won Rookie of the Year while leading all rookies in points, assists, steals, and minutes. That was just the start. By his 3rd year, the Hornets won 56 games, their best season ever, and took the division title. Paul led the league in assists and steals while dropping 17 assists in a playoff win. He became the heartbeat of the franchise. Post-Katrina, when the team had to play in Oklahoma City, Paul held everything together, on court and off. He gave them identity, direction, and respect around the league. Before him, New Orleans was a footnote. With him, they were contenders. He set the tone every night, pushing pace, hitting mid-range shots, locking up guards, and throwing pinpoint passes. His leadership made the Hornets a place where players wanted to compete. He made their offense click and their defense legit. Without him, none of it happens. He didn't just play for New Orleans, he carried them from the bottom to relevance the moment he put on the jersey. Michael Jordan. The Bulls picked him 3rd overall in 1984. After failing to trade down for a veteran big man, that choice instantly changed everything. Jordan came in and averaged over 28 points while leading the team in points, rebounds, assists, and steals, something no rookie had done for the franchise. They hadn't been to the playoffs in 4 years, and suddenly they were back. He won Rookie of the Year, made the All-Star team, and filled up Chicago Stadium. Attendance had been pathetic before he got there, but fans packed the building just to watch him play. He gave the Bulls star power, scoring, and legitimacy. By the early 90s, they were winning titles. But even in year 1, the Bulls were no longer just a team on the schedule. They were must-watch basketball. Jordan's influence went beyond numbers. He shifted the team's culture, forced the front office to build better, and gave Chicago hope. That rookie season wasn't just impressive, it was the beginning of a dynasty. From draft night to his first playoff run, Jordan didn't just help the Bulls. He transformed them into something they had never been before. Relevant, instantly. Shaq. The Orlando Magic drafted him 1st overall in 1992. And just like that, their entire trajectory changed. The team had only 21 wins the year before, and in Shaq's rookie season, they jumped to 41. That's a 20-win leap, pure dominance. He averaged over 23 points, nearly 14 rebounds, and 3.5 blocks. He won Rookie of the Year, became an all-star, and turned a young expansion franchise into a legit force. Within 3 seasons, he led them to the NBA Finals. No Magic player had ever made that kind of leap happen. He wasn't just big, he was unstoppable. Backboard shattered, paint dominated, and Orlando was suddenly on the map. Every game felt like an event. He packed arenas, boosted TV ratings, and gave Orlando something it had never had: relevance. From a team scraping by to a finals contender, Shaq's impact was seismic. He turned the Magic into a national story and gave them instant legitimacy. It wasn't gradual, it was overnight. He walked in the door and made Orlando matter. That's not development. That's a franchise-altering presence. With size, power, and swagger nobody could stop. Carmelo Anthony. Denver drafted him 3rd overall in 2003, and everything changed. The Nuggets had just 17 wins the season before, but with Melo, they jumped to 43 and made the playoffs. He averaged over 21 points, 6 rebounds, and nearly 3 assists as a rookie. That kind of impact doesn't happen by accident. He was the first rookie since 1990 to lead a playoff team in scoring. Denver had been irrelevant, but Melo gave them purpose, consistency, and a real offensive identity. Over the next 6 seasons, they never missed the playoffs. He scored nearly 14,000 points with the Nuggets and took them to the Western Conference Finals in 2009, their first trip there since 1985. His scoring was smooth, efficient, and impossible to stop. He didn't just play forward, he was the face of the franchise. The crowd showed up because of him. The team followed his lead. The Nuggets went from lottery filler to playoff fixture because Melo arrived and gave them a reason to believe. From the moment he got there, the energy, expectations, and wins flipped. That's a real overnight shift, and it started with Carmelo. Hakeem. Houston picked him first overall in 1984, and the shift was instant. The Rockets had won just 29 games the year before, but with Hakeem, they jumped to 48 and made the playoff. As a rookie, he averaged over 20 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 3 blocks per game. He helped build the Twin Towers with Ralph Sampson, leading Houston to the NBA Finals just 2 years in. When Sampson was traded, Hakeem took over fully and became the Rockets' heart. In 1994, he became the only player ever to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP in the same season. He led Houston to their first title, then came back the next year and won another, this time from the 6th seed. His footwork, blocks, and leadership defined the Rock. He holds the record for most career blocks. He wasn't just a player, he was a culture shift. He made the Rockets global, mentored future stars, and put Houston on the map. From a losing team to back-to-back champions, Hakeem did it fast, and he did it with skill nobody could match. That's a full franchise flip. Day 1, Larry Bird. Boston took him 6 in 1978, even though he still had a year left at Indiana State. They waited a year, then signed him to the biggest rookie deal in NBA history. It was worth it. Before Bird arrived, the Celtics had won just 29 games. With him, they jumped to 61 wins in his rookie season. That's a 32-win swing with almost no other changes to the roster. He averaged over 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. Won Rookie of the Year and made the All-Star team. He turned a bottom-tier team into a title threat overnight. Within 2 seasons, he led Boston to the championship, and 2 more followed. He won 3 straight MVPs in the mid-'80s, something nobody's done since. The Celtics became dominant again, with Bird at the center of it all, scoring, passing, rebounding, defending. The team that had been lost in the league's basement became a dynasty. Bird's arrival brought back Celtics pride, packed the arena, and helped grow the NBA's reach with his rivalry against Magic Johnson. He didn't just revive Boston, he turned them back into the Celtics the league feared. Fast. Damian Lillard. Portland drafted him 6th overall in 2012, and he didn't waste a second. He averaged 19 points, 6.5 assists, and 3 rebounds across all 82 games. Rookie of the Year? Unanimous. He made more threes as a rookie than any player in franchise history. The Blazers had been stuck at 27 wins, but with Lillard, they snapped back to playoff contention and finally had a direction. He brought fire, range, and composure right out the gate. Within 2 years, he hit a game-winning 3 at the buzzer to eliminate Houston, giving Portland its first playoff series win since 2000. The city erupted. He became the all-time leader in points, threes, and free throw percentage. Scored 61 in a game, then did it again. 9 All-Star selections followed. And even when the roster rotated, the one constant was Dame time. He stayed loyal, lifted a stagnant team, and redefined its culture. The team that drifted for years found an identity in him. His eventual trade reset the franchise, but not before he gave them everything. Records, wins, hope, and some of the coldest clutch shots the league has ever seen. Dwight Howard. Orlando drafted him 1st overall in 2004, and the turnaround was fast. The team had just 21 wins before he arrived. In his rookie year, they jumped to 36. He averaged 12 points and 10 rebounds, becoming the youngest player in league history to average a double-double. By his 3rd year, he was already leading the league in rebounding. He took Orlando from a rebuilding mess to a playoff team built around his strength, speed, and interior dominance. From 2007 to 2011, they made the playoffs every year. In 2009, he led the Magic to the NBA Finals, the first time they'd been there since the Shaq. He won Defensive Player of the Year 3 straight times and led the league in rebounds 5 times. He became the all-time franchise leader in points, rebounds, blocks, and minutes. There was no question whose team it was. Howard controlled the paint, changed how opponents played, and made the Magic relevant again. The team was built around him, and he carried them to the top of the Eastern Conference. The moment he showed up, everything shifted in Orlando. Derrick Rose. Chicago picked him first in 2008, and everything changed instantly. The team had won just 33 games the year before. With Rose, they jumped into the playoff mix. He averaged nearly 17 points and over 6 assists as a rookie, won Rookie of the Year unanimously, and dropped 36 points in his first playoff game, tying Kareem for the most ever by a rookie in their postseason debut. 2 years later, he became the youngest MVP in league history at 22, leading the Bulls to 62 wins in their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance since the 90s. He averaged 25 points and nearly 8 assists that season. He was explosive, unguardable, and electric. Chicago's heartbeat. The team went from lost to legitimate, built around a hometown kid who wore number 1 and played with speed nobody could match. Then came the injuries, but even after the ACL tear in 2012, Rose remained a leader and fan favorite. His resilience became part of his story. The Bulls eventually retired his jersey in 2025, placing him alongside Jordan and Pippen. From day one, he brought the Bulls back to life. Morant. The moment Memphis picked him second overall in 2019, everything started flipping. He came in with crazy numbers from Murray State and got handed a rookie deal just under $40 million. Memphis wasn't exactly thriving, coming off a season with 22 wins. Then Morant happened. Suddenly they were pushing a near even record by the time the season restarted. He ran the floor like it owed him money, led all rookies in points and assists, and took home Rookie of the Year. The team didn't just improve, they got an identity reboot. Explosive drives, flashy passes, and poster dunks turned every game into a highlight reel. The fans? Loud. The merch? Flying. The energy? Different. By 2021, he dragged them back into the playoffs. And in 2022, he helped tie the franchise win record. They went from grit and grind to full-blown track meet. Sure, he missed a chunk of games in 2024, but once he got back, he lit it up. 34 points and a game winner like nothing happened. Off-court stuff, it's been messy, but every time he plays, the team wakes up. Morant didn't just change Memphis, he gave them a pulse. Kevin Durant. When the Sonics took him second in 2007, the franchise was on life support. Then, they moved to Oklahoma City, and Durant became the oxygen. His rookie year numbers, over 20 points a night, weren't just flashy, they were foundational. The Thunder built around him, and it worked. Over 9 seasons, he dragged them from lottery regulars to Western Conference threats. They weren't just winning, they were winning a lot. Multiple seasons with over 50 wins, a finals run in 2012, and a regular season MVP in 2014. That year, he averaged around 32 points per game and carried the squad, while Westbrook missed time. The whole team's identity molded around his length, scoring, and quiet intensity. He turned OKC from a relocated franchise into a legit NBA contender with a real fan base and national attention. The arena got louder, the expectations got bigger, and suddenly, Oklahoma City mattered in the playoff picture. His presence forced the league to take the Thunder seriously. Before him, the team was a footnote. With him, they were feared. Durant didn't just change the Thunder. He made them relevant, respected, and for a while, absolutely dangerous. Blake Griffin. The Clippers picked him first in 2009, and while he missed that first season with a knee injury, the impact came fast once he hit the floor. His debut year was a full-on explosion. Over 22 points, 12 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists a game. He ripped off a 27-game double-double streak and became the first rookie since David Robinson to get a unanimous Rookie of the Year vote. The arena energy flipped almost instantly. Staples Center went from mostly empty seats to ranking 7th in league attendance by his second year. He gave fans a reason to show up, and the league a reason to care. Then came Lob City. Griffin, with his dunk contests and high-flying plays, transformed the Clippers into must-watch basketball. They went from a running joke to a playoff team, winning their first series since 2006 and eventually grabbing their first division title. By 2014, they posted a 57-win season, the best in franchise history. For years, the Clippers weren't just relevant, they were exciting, fun, and good. Griffin didn't just lift the team, he dragged them into a brand new identity. Yao Ming. When Houston snagged him first overall in 2002, it didn't just shift the Rockets, it shifted basketball. He didn't play college ball, but they still rolled the dice, and it paid off. He started 72 of 82 games in his rookie season and ended with over 13 points, 8 rebounds, and almost 2 blocks a game. That year, he became the first rookie to start in the All-Star game since 1995. But his influence wasn't just on the box score. Attendance jumped, wins followed, and suddenly, Rockets games were appointment viewing in 2 countries. He helped push the team back into playoff form and led them to their first series win since 1997. For 8 straight seasons, he was an all-star starter, became a 5-time All-NBA selection, and brought the Rockets back to relevance. Off the court, Yao turned Houston into an international spotlight. Millions tuned in from China. Jerseys flew off shelves. He bridged two basketball cultures and redefined the league's global footprint. Even with constant injuries that ended his career early, the Rockets retired his jersey and enshrined him in the Hall. Yao wasn't just a star, he was a global pivot point. Larry Johnson, the Hornets drafted him first in 1991, and everything changed from day one. He averaged over 19 points and 11 rebounds, played all 82 games, and pulled Charlotte from lottery irrelevance to a 45-win playoff team. That was their first ever trip to the postseason, and Johnson was the engine. He won Rookie of the Year, grabbed 3 Rookie of the Month awards, and became the Hornets' first All-Star. Charlotte finally had a player the league couldn't ignore. His game mixed brute strength with finesse. He could bully inside, knock down mid-range shots, and pass like a point forward. It wasn't just stats, it was present. When he paired up with Alonzo Mourning, they formed one of the most exciting front courts in the league, and Charlotte became a consistent playoff threat. In 1993, Johnson signed a 12-year deal worth over $80 million, the biggest in NBA history at the time. That wasn't just a contract, it was the franchise going all in. He didn't just raise expectations, he made the Hornets mad. From attendance to national broadcasts, Charlotte went from afterthought to highlight reel, and Johnson was the face of it all. John Wall. The Wizards picked him first in 2010, and everything started moving. Literally. He brought speed, vision, and energy the franchise hadn't seen in years. His rookie year, over 16 points and 8 assists a game, plus more triple-doubles than any other rookie. He led the team to their first playoff appearance since 2008, shaking off years of losing. When he was on the court, the pace jumped, possessions flew, and the whole team looked alive. From 2014 to 2018, he was an all-star every year. He earned All-NBA honors and even landed on the All-Defensive team. The Wizards weren't just participating anymore, they were pushing deep into the playoffs. In 2017, they hit 49 wins, their first division title since 1979, and Wall dropped nearly 20 points and over 10 assists a game. In the playoffs, almost 27-12. Injuries eventually slowed him down, but he still left with the franchise record in assists and steals. When they traded him in 2020, fans weren't just sad, they were furious. Wall didn't just improve the Wizards, he gave them an identity, a heartbeat, and a reason to believe again. LaMelo Ball. Charlotte grabbed him third in 2020, and the shift was instant. The Hornets were dragging near the bottom. Then LaMelo showed up with flashy passes, pace, and confidence that turned heads fast. He averaged over 15 points, 6 assists, and nearly 6 rebounds as a rookie, won Rookie of the Year, and helped lift the team to 33 wins after just 22 the year before. He became the youngest in franchise history to drop a triple-double and made Charlotte watchable again. Fans showed up, the merch started moving, and the highlights flooded every feed. By 2022, he was an all-star, and it wasn't just hype. He ran the floor with precision and scored from everywhere. In the 2024 season, before injuries hit, he hit a career-high 25 points per game and even dropped a 50-point night. Every game felt like something could happen. He gave the Hornets a real identity again. Fast, unpredictable, entertaining. Even after injuries, he bounced back with 34, 11, and 8 in his return. He isn't just important to Charlotte. He is the reason people know they exist again. LaMelo didn't join the Hornets. He rebuilt them. Wes Unseld, drafted second in 1968. And just like that, the Bullets flipped their entire script. The year before, they were a 36-win team. Then Unseld walked in, averaged over 18 rebounds a game, and suddenly, they won 57. That's not a coincidence. That's force of will. He became just the second player ever to win both Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same season, joining Wilt. His rebounding was relentless, but his outlet passes, surgical. He turned defense into fast breaks, like clockwork. Over 13 seasons, all with the Bullets, he anchored a 58% win percentage and never chased spotlight. His game was about impact, not flash. In 1978, a full decade in, he led the team to their first championship and took home Finals MVP. His numbers weren't loud, but his presence was. When he retired, he stepped right into coaching and front office roles, staying with the franchise for 35 years. That kind of loyalty and leadership doesn't just boost a team, it defines it. From rookie dominance to executive stewardship, Unseld didn't just lift the Bullets, he shaped everything they became, on the court and beyond. D. Wade, drafted 5th in 2003, and from the moment he hit the floor, the Heat flipped. They started 5-15 that year, but once Wade got going, they surged to 42 wins and made the playoffs. That's not rookie luck, that's franchise energy. He averaged over 16 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds in just 61 games. By his third season, he was putting up over 27 a night dragging Miami to its first NBA title and winning Finals MVP. Those finals numbers? Ridiculous. He dropped over 40 points multiple times and turned a 2-game deficit into a championship. From there, it never slowed. He led the league in scoring in 2009 and made 13 All-Star appearances. When the Big Three era arrived with LeBron and Bai, Wade was the anchor. They grabbed 2 more titles and dominated the East. He finished as Miami's all-time leader in nearly every category, from points to assists to games played. They even built a statue for him outside the arena in 2024. Wade didn't just play for the Heat. He built their reputation, set their tone, and turned them into champions. Paolo Banchero. Orlando made him the top pick in 2022, and that choice hit fast. Right away, he dropped 27 points in his debut, the best for a rookie since 1996, and became the first Magic rookie to hit 20-plus in 15 of his first 20 games. He finished the season leading all rookies in scoring and minutes, averaged 20 points a night, and took home Rookie of the Year. The Magic jumped from 22 wins to 34 with him, a 12-game bump that pulled them out of lottery territory and back toward relevance. He gave them a real go-to scorer and turned Orlando into a team worth scouting again. His handles, strength, and transition game changed the way the team moved. By the next season, they opened 13-5, won 47 games, and returned to the playoffs. This year remained the clear offensive engine. They're already planning a supermax deal. He didn't just join a rebuilding team, he flipped the entire script. Banchero turned the Magic from overlooked to dangerous almost immediately. Ben Simmons. When the Sixers picked him first in 2016, they were still stuck in the middle of the process with more questions than answers. After missing a year with injury, Simmons debuted in 2017 and immediately changed everything. He averaged over 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists a game, numbers almost unheard of for a rookie, especially one playing point guard at 6'10". He helped push the team to 52 wins, their best season since 2001, and led them to a 16-game win streak to close out the year. He was named Rookie of the Year and played a huge role in their return to the playoffs. Simmons brought pace, defensive versatility, and elite vision to a team that had been aimless for years. Over his first few seasons, he made 3 All-Star teams and led the league in steals in 2020. With him on the floor, the Sixers became a real contender in the East. His ability to guard every position, push in transition, and create shots for others gave the team a true identity. He was the engine that powered Philly out of the lottery and back into relevance. Kevin Garnett. Minnesota took him 5th in 1995 straight out of high school, and within 2 years, the Timberwolves nearly doubled their win total. They had never won more than 29 games, but with Garnett, they jumped from 21 to 40 wins fast. By age 20, he was an all-star. His rookie numbers weren't loud, just over 10 points, but his impact was immediate. He brought energy, defense, and a different mentality to a franchise stuck in the mud. Garnett became the face of the team and a two-way anchor, leading them in defensive rebounds for 5 straight seasons. In 2004, he hit his peak, 24 points, nearly 14 rebounds, 5 assists, and over 2 blocks a game. The Wolves won 58 games and made their first conference finals. Garnett took home the MVP and finally gave Minnesota a taste of elite basketball. He became the franchise leader in basically every stat that matters and was the driving force behind 8 straight playoff appearances. More than anything, he gave the Timberwolves identity. Before KG, they were irrelevant. With him, they mattered. He didn't just play in Minnesota, he built the entire era. David Robinson, drafted first in 1987, but thanks to his Navy service, he didn't suit up until 1989. The wait was worth it. Before him, the Spurs won 21 games. With him, they won 56. That 35-win jump set a new NBA record. In his rookie year, he averaged over 24 points, 12 rebounds, and nearly 4 blocks. He was named Rookie of the Year, made the All-NBA and All-Defensive teams, and carried the team straight into the playoff. Robinson didn't just play, he redefined the Spurs overnight. San Antonio went from forgotten to feared. Attendance nearly doubled, the franchise value exploded, and the team found its identity in defense and intensity. He led the league in blocks, won Defensive Player of the Year in 1992, and kept the Spurs in contention for over a decade. His presence helped land Tim Duncan, and together they built the Twin Towers that won titles in 1999 and 2003. The Admiral wasn't just a star. He changed the way people looked at the Spurs, and he did it from the first time he put on the jersey. Vince Carter, drafted 5th in 1998 and flipped to Toronto on draft night. He joined a 10-win franchise that barely existed on the NBA radar. By his rookie year, he averaged over 18 points and took home Rookie of the Year. The Raptors weren't just relevant, they were exciting. In his second season, he jumped to over 25 points a game and led the team to their first playoff appearance. By year 3, they won 47 games, and Carter was averaging over 27. His high-flying dunks and highlight plays didn't just fill arenas. They rebranded the franchise. The 2000 dunk contest made him a global name and gave Toronto a basketball identity overnight. He led them to their first playoff series win in 2001 and still holds Raptors records for points in a season and points in a playoff. Before Carter, Toronto was a novelty. With him, they mattered. He gave the team legitimacy, a fan base, and visibility across Canada. Years later, they retired his jersey, and he entered the Hall of Fame in 2024. Carter didn't just elevate the Raptors, he built the reason they're even remembered at all. Kyrie, taken first in 2011 by Cleveland, right after LeBron left, and the city needed something. Anything. Kyrie showed up and led the team in scoring and assists as a rookie, averaging over 18 points and 5 assists. He won Rookie of the Year and gave the Cavs a reason to look forward again. By 2014, he signed a max deal. LeBron came back, and the team went from rebuild to finals contender. That year, they reached their first finals in franchise history. 2 years later, Kyrie hit one of the biggest shots in NBA history, a step-back 3 over Curry in Game 7 of the 2016 finals. That shot didn't just win a game. It won the Cavaliers their first title and ended a 52-year championship drought for the city. He averaged nearly 28 points in finals games and scored 41 in Game 5. From day one, he gave the Cavs flash, skill, and late-game scoring they never had before. His time in Cleveland helped reshape the team's identity from hopeless to champion. Kyrie didn't just fill the gap after LeBron left, he laid the foundation for the banner that finally went up. Luka trade. The Mavericks shocked everybody by trading Luka to the Lakers in a wild 3-team deal that also involved the Jazz. Los Angeles landed Luka, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, and money. Dallas brought in Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a draft pick, and some cash too. Utah got Jalen Hood-Schifino and a couple of second-round picks. The Mavericks front office wasn't happy with Luka's conditioning and didn't want to commit to a massive contract extension. They wanted a superstar back and locked in on Davis, who waived his trade bonus to make it work. But things fell apart fast. Davis got hurt in his first game, and Kyrie tore his ACL weeks later. Dallas completely collapsed. The Lakers, meanwhile, got their guy. Luka's already helping them win, and they're clearly preparing for life after LeBron James. Utah walked away with some young pieces for their rebuild. Fans hated it, but it changed everything for all 3 teams. Kyle Korver trade. The Nets grabbed Kyle Korver with the 51st pick in the 2003 draft and then sold him to the Sixers for a printer. That's it, no player in return. The Nets needed cash to cover their summer league costs, and apparently to grab a new copy machine. Meanwhile, the Sixers ended up with a knockdown shooter who broke their single-season record for threes just a year later. Korver stayed with them for 4 seasons before going on to have a long career that included an All-Star appearance and a spot among the all-time three-point leaders. The Nets, though, got nothing long-term. That printer, probably dead within 5 years. This trade always pops up when people talk about overlooked talent. Korver even joked about it in a speech, reminding everyone that he outlasted the copy machine. It's a wild example of how chasing quick fixes can come back to haunt teams years later. Kobe trade. The Hornets picked Kobe Bryant with the 13th pick in the 1996 draft, then traded him to the Lakers for Divac. The move was planned ahead of time, with the Hornets selecting Kobe for the Lakers. Jerry West was blown away by Kobe's workouts and knew he had to get him. At the same time, the Lakers were chasing Shaq and needed to dump Divac's salary. Charlotte wanted a reliable big man and wasn't ready to bet on a high school kid. Divac didn't want to go at first, even thinking about retiring, but he ended up joining the Hornets a few weeks later. Kobe came off the bench his rookie year, but still won the slam dunk contest. Divac helped Charlotte win 54 games that season, but Kobe's career, 5 titles, 18 All-Star nods, and 1 unforgettable legacy. Looking back, this trade completely changed the direction of both franchises forever. Paul George trade. The Clippers went all in during the summer of 2019, landing Paul George from the Thunder in exchange for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, 5 first-round picks, and 2 pick swaps. This monster deal came after Kawhi Leonard made it clear he wanted George as his running mate. The Clippers jumped straight into the title conversation, stacking their roster with 2 elite two-way wings. The Thunder, meanwhile, took the opportunity to rebuild. Shai turned into a star, and those picks gave them insane flexibility for the future. The Clippers had a strong regular season in 2019, but blew a 3-1 lead to the Nuggets. Oklahoma City, somehow, still won 44 games and pushed Houston to 7 games. Long term, the Clippers reached the Western Finals once, but never broke through. The Thunder got an MVP. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to start posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Pierce Garnett trade. In 2013, the Nets gave up a mountain of assets to land Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Jason Terry, and DJ White from the Celtics. In return, Boston got 5 players and a treasure chest of draft picks, including 3 first-rounders and a swap option. Brooklyn wanted to win now. They paired their new veterans with Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, and Brook Lopez, hoping to make a title push. They beat Toronto in the first round, but lost to Miami. After that, it all collapsed. Pierce and Garnett were way past their primes, and Brooklyn didn't get anywhere close to a ring. The Celtics, meanwhile, hit the jackpot. They used those picks to get Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, 2 cornerstones of their franchise. Boston eventually turned it into a title in 2024. This trade flipped both teams' futures and remains one of the most one-sided deals the league's ever seen. Kyrie draft trade. Back in 2011, the Clippers dumped Baron Davis and an unprotected first-round pick to Cleveland for Mo Williams and Jamario Moon. Los Angeles wanted to save money and move on from Davis's big contract. Cleveland, fresh off losing LeBron James, took the risk and absorbed that deal in exchange for a shot at rebuilding. That unprotected pick had just a 2.8% chance to become number 1. It hit. The Cavaliers landed the top spot and used it to draft Kyrie Irving. He became Rookie of the Year and eventually helped deliver Cleveland its first championship in 2016. The Clippers, meanwhile, got a few solid games out of Mo, including a 52-point performance, but nothing long-term. That one pick changed everything for the Cavaliers and turned into one of the league's biggest "what were they thinking" moments for Los Angeles. Draft protections suddenly became a whole lot more popular. Anthony Davis trade. In 2019, the Lakers finally landed Anthony Davis by sending Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and 3 first-round picks to the Pelicans. New Orleans even got the number 4 pick in that same draft. Los Angeles made the move to give LeBron James a superstar partner, and it worked fast. They won 52 games that season and went on to win the 2020 championship. Davis dominated on both ends and looked like the missing piece. The Pelicans, meanwhile, went young. Ingram broke out right away, winning Most Improved Player and making the All-Star team. The team missed the playoffs, but the pieces were in place. The Lakers stayed in win-now mode, making more bold moves in the years after. For New Orleans, the draft capital and young core gave them long-term flexibility. It was a bold trade, and both teams ended up getting exactly what they wanted. Kevin Durant trade. In 2023, the Suns went all in and grabbed Kevin Durant and TJ Warren from the Nets. In return, Brooklyn got Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a pick swap. New Suns owner Matt Ishbia had just taken over and wasted no time making a splash. Phoenix wanted to win now, and Durant was the big move they believed would push them over the top. He debuted in March, dropped 23 in his first game, and helped them grab the 4th seed. He even became the first player ever to shoot over 55% from the field, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line in a season. The playoffs? Great for him individually, but Denver knocked them out. Meanwhile, Bridges thrived in Brooklyn, showing off way more offense than anyone expected. The Nets got flexibility, assets, and a real building block, and eventually shipped Bridges to the Knicks. Kawhi Leonard trade. In 2018, the Raptors made a bold move by trading DeMar DeRozan, Jakob Poeltl, and a protected first-round pick to the Spurs for Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green. Toronto wanted a title, and even though Leonard had just missed most of the season with an injury and had 1 year left on his deal, they took the risk. Masai Ujiri bet everything on one season, and it paid off. Leonard led them to 58 wins and then carried them through the playoffs, capping it with the title win over the Warriors. He walked after the season, but the Raptors got their first championship ever. The Spurs, meanwhile, kept things steady. DeRozan played well, and Poeltl began developing into a solid big. But long-term, San Antonio entered a rebuild. This trade changed how teams approach risk, proving sometimes one incredible year can be worth everything you give up. Wilt Chamberlain trade. In 1965, the Warriors sent Wilt Chamberlain to the Sixers for Paul Newman, Connie Dearkin, Lee Schaffer, and $150,000. San Francisco was struggling financially after their move from Philly, and Wilt's massive salary didn't help. Even though he was dominating the league, management decided to reset. The Sixers saw the chance to bring a hometown legend back. Chamberlain had starred in Philadelphia during high school, and fans welcomed him with open arms. He immediately boosted the Sixers' competitiveness and kept leading the league in scoring and rebounding. The Celtics were still in the way, but the Sixers became serious contenders. Meanwhile, the Warriors fell off. None of the players they got could come close to replacing Wilt's presence. It gave them some financial relief, but on the court, it was a loss. The trade became a turning point for both teams and showed just how tricky superstar deals can be. James Harden trade. In 2021, the Nets pulled off a massive 4-team deal to land James Harden from the Rockets. Houston received Victor Oladipo, Ryan Kurics, Dante Exum, 4 first-round picks, and 4 pick swap. Cleveland grabbed Jarrett Allen and Taurean Prince, while Indiana got Karis LeVert and a second-round pick. Brooklyn wanted a super team with Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie. The offense looked terrifying on paper, but injuries and chemistry issues got in the way. They lost to Milwaukee in 7 games and never reached the finals. Harden was traded again a year later. Houston hit reset, using their draft haul to build a young core. Allen became a cornerstone in Cleveland's resurgence, and LeVert flashed promise in Indiana before heading to the Cavs, and now in Atlanta. Pau Gasol trade. In 2008, the Lakers landed Pau Gasol and a second-round pick from the Grizzlies for Kwame Brown, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron McKee, 2 first-round picks, Pau Gasol's rights, and cash. Los Angeles needed help for Kobe Bryant and found the perfect fit. Gasol arrived, the Lakers took off, and they went on to reach 3 straight finals, winning 2. Pau became an all-star, earned all NBA honors, and turned that Lakers team into a powerhouse. Memphis got crushed in the media, but things changed fast. Marc Gasol developed into a star, winning Defensive Player of the Year and anchoring playoff runs. The other picks didn't pan out, but that one piece changed everything. The Lakers got titles. The Grizzlies built a new identity. It's a trade that looked lopsided at first, but ended up helping both sides in major ways once all the pieces came together. Chris Paul trade. In 2011, the Clippers sent Eric Gordon, Chris Kaman, Al-Farouq Aminu, and a future unprotected pick from Minnesota to the Hornets for Chris Paul and 2 second-rounders. The Lakers had a deal for Paul vetoed just days earlier, so the Clippers swooped in and changed their franchise overnight. Pairing Paul with Blake Griffin launched the Lob City era, filled with highlights, playoff runs, and a brand new identity for the Clippers. They won 40 games in a shortened season and made it to the second round. The Hornets, meanwhile, struggled early, but that unprotected pick turned into gold. It became the #1 pick in 2012, and they used it on Anthony Davis. Gordon showed flashes, though injuries held him back. Kaman gave them depth, and Aminu slowly developed. That one pick changed everything, setting the Hornets up for a new direction. While the Clippers finally became a team people had to take seriously. Dwight Howard trade. In 2012, the Lakers made a splash by trading for Dwight Howard in a 4-team blockbuster. They got Howard, Chris Duhon, and Earl Clark. The Magic landed Aaron Aflalo, Al Harrington, Vooch, Mo Harkless, Josh McRoberts, Christian Ainga, and 5 picks. Philly took Andrew Bynum and Jason Richardson, while Denver got Iggy. The Lakers built a super team around Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, and Howard, but injuries and chemistry problems wrecked it. They got swept in the playoffs, and Howard left for Houston after 1 season. Orlando entered a rebuild and hit big with Vooch, who turned into an all-star. Philly never got anything from Bynum, who didn't play a single game. Denver won 57 games with Iggy, but he left the next summer. The deal became a classic example of high-risk trades going sideways. Showing talent alone doesn't guarantee success without fit, health, and long-term commitment. Damian Lillard trade. In 2023, the Bucks pulled off a blockbuster to land Damian Lillard, sending Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Toumani Camara, and picks to the Blazers, while the Suns received Nurk, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson. Milwaukee paired Dame with Giannis, hoping to form a championship duo and calm concerns about Giannis's future. Portland shifted into rebuild mode, moving on from Lillard and building around youth like Ayton. Phoenix added depth and balance to their rotation, aiming to bolster their supporting cast. The Bucks won 49 games, but got bounced early by Indiana, with injuries hurting their playoff push. Ayton stepped into a bigger role in Portland, and the Suns got solid minutes from their new pieces. Long term, this trade marked a massive reset for Portland, a win-now gamble for Milwaukee, and a depth play for Phoenix. Bill Russell trade. In 1956, the Celtics traded Ed Macauley and Cliff Hagan to the Hawks for the draft rights to Bill Russell. Boston didn't have the right pick, so they got creative. Coach Red Auerbach believed Russell's defense and rebounding would unlock championship potential for his offense-heavy team. St. Louis wanted local star Macauley and saw Hagan as a nice offensive piece. Both sides got talent, but Boston got a legend. Russell instantly flipped the Celtics into a defensive force and went on to win 11 championships, including 8 straight. He picked up 5 MVP and 12 All-Star selections. The Hawks stayed strong and won the title in 1958, but they couldn't get past Boston when it counted. Hagan and McCauley had great careers, but Russell built a dynasty. Tracy McGrady trade. In 2004, the Rockets made a huge swing by trading for Tracy McGrady, Juwan Howard, Tyronn Lue, and Reece Gaines from the Magic in exchange for Steve Francis, Cuttino Mobley, and Kelvin Cato. Houston wanted to build around McGrady and Yao Ming, hoping the superstar duo could push them into title contention. Orlando, dealing with McGrady's frustration and trade request, brought in Francis to lead a new-look roster. McGrady delivered right away, averaging over 30 in the playoffs. But Houston still lost in the first round. The Magic missed the postseason, despite solid numbers from Francis. Long-term, the Rockets couldn't stay healthy. McGrady and Yao constantly battled injuries, and the team never got past the first round with them. Francis didn't stick in Orlando long, and the rebuild continued. This trade all looked like a win for both sides early, but neither franchise got the long-term success they were aiming for. Towns trade. The Knicks brought in Karl Anthony Towns from the Timberwolves, while also grabbing James and Najee's draft rights from Charlotte. Minnesota took back Julius Randle, Devo, and a protected first-rounder from Detroit. Charlotte got 3 players, 2 second-round picks, and over $7 million. The Knicks made the move to chase a title and added a serious scoring punch with Towns. Minnesota looked to shake things up and reset financially. Charlotte jumped in to collect assets for a longer rebuild. Towns quickly fit in and brought some firepower to the Knicks' offense. He racked up points, hit the glass, and boosted their place in the East. Randall and Devo gave Minnesota solid experience, while the draft pick padded their future. Charlotte's young guys got more time, and the team looked ahead. Robertson trade. The Bucks landed Oscar Robertson from the Royals by sending out Flynn Robinson and Charlie Paul. Milwaukee made the move to surround their young center with a proven guard who could lead the floor and score with ease. Cincinnati looked to rebuild and move on from the tension between Robertson and coach Bob Cousy. The Bucks instantly took off, winning 66 games and putting together a 20-game streak. That same season, they stormed through the playoffs and swept Baltimore to win their first title. Robertson's leadership played a major part in that run. The Royals didn't find the same success, finishing 33-49 and missing the playoff. Milwaukee stayed competitive for years and even made another finals in 1974. Cincinnati never quite recovered and eventually left the city altogether. Carmelo trade. The Knicks brought in Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, and 3 other players, while sending Danilo Gallinari, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton, Timofey Mozgov, and picks to Denver. Minnesota jumped in and picked up Anthony Randolph, Eddie Curry, and cash. New York made the move to boost their star power, hoping Carmelo and Amari could lead a serious playoff run. Denver knew Carmelo might leave in free agency, so they got what they could, landing young talent and future picks to reload. The Timberwolves took what they could get to help with their rebuild. The Knicks made the playoffs that season, but didn't go far. Carmelo had big scoring nights, including 62 in one game, but real playoff success never followed. Denver stayed steady and kept making the postseason. They built out their roster using the depth from the trade. Minnesota's return helped their rebuild, but didn't shift the franchise. This move shaped 3 paths at once. Garnett trade. The Celtics landed Kevin Garnett from the Timberwolves in exchange for Al Jefferson, Ryan Gomes, Gerald Green, Sebastian Telfair, Theo Ratliff, 2 first-round picks, and cash. Boston pulled the trigger to pair Garnett with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, instantly creating a trio built for title runs. Minnesota wanted to reset the roster after 12 seasons with Garnett and grabbed young pieces to rebuild. The Celtics exploded with 66 wins and ran through the playoffs to take home their 17th title. Garnett's defense and intensity completely shifted the team's culture. The Timberwolves couldn't find the same spark and stumbled to a 22-60 record. Jefferson showed promise, but the rebuild didn't come together fast. Boston kept contending and made another finals in 2010. The trade sparked a new era of super teams where big swings became the blueprint. This deal changed legacies, shaped rosters, and gave Boston another banner to raise. Iverson trade. The Nuggets brought in Allen Iverson and Ivan McFarland from the Sixers, sending out Andre Miller, Joe Smith, and 2 first-round picks. Philadelphia wanted to rebuild and move forward from the Iverson era, so they grabbed a steady point guard and future pieces. Denver went all in, pairing Iverson with Carmelo Anthony to create a high-powered scoring duo. Iverson put up numbers right away, and the Nuggets finished with 45 wins, but they got bounced in the first round. Meanwhile, the Sixers wrapped up a 35-47 season, but Miller kept things steady. They used the draft picks to grab Thaddeus Young and flipped one for Jason Smith. Both helped the team's long-term growth. Iverson's run in Denver brought excitement, but playoff success never followed. The Sixers embraced a rebuild while the Nuggets kept reshaping the roster. Harden trade. The Sixers grabbed James Harden and Paul Millsap from the Nets, giving up Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. Philly wanted to pair Harden with Joel Embiid to push for a title and fill the void left by Simmons sitting out. Brooklyn added depth, shooting, and future flexibility while moving on from an unhappy star. The Sixers finished with 51 wins and reached the second round, but couldn't get past Miami. Harden put up solid numbers and gave their offense a lift. The Nets made the playoffs with 44 wins, but got swept in the first round. Simmons never suited up that season, while Curry and Drummond stepped up in their roles. Long-term, Philly doubled down on chasing a ring during Embiid's prime, but Harden's deal added cap pressure. Brooklyn banked on potential from Simmons and future picks. Cousins trade. The Pelicans got DeMarcus Cousins and Omri Caspi from the Kings, who took back Buddy Hield, Evans, Langston Galloway, and 2 picks. Sacramento wanted a clean restart after years of missing the playoffs with Cousins, betting on Hield's upside and the value of draft assets. New Orleans tried to form a powerful duo with Cousins and Anthony Davis to push for the postseason. Cousins made noise right away with big numbers, but the Pelicans finished with 34 wins that year. The next season, Cousins put up monster stats before tearing his Achilles, which completely derailed the plan. He left in free agency not long after. Hield turned into a key piece for Sacramento, giving them a young scorer to build around. They used a pick to draft Justin Jackson, though his impact was limited. The trade became a gamble that never paid off for New Orleans, while Sacramento leaned into a longer rebuild. Kareem trade. The Lakers landed Kareem and Walt Wesley from the Bucks, sending back Elmore Smith, Brian Winters, Junior Bridgman, and Dave Myers. Kareem wanted a new city that fit his values, and Los Angeles gave him that. The Lakers made the move to build around another dominant big man and bring back their winning ways. Milwaukee knew they had to deal him, so they focused on gathering young talent to reset the roster. In his first Lakers season, Kareem won MVP and led the league in rebounds and blocks, but they still finished 40 and 42. Milwaukee dropped to 38 and 44, missing the playoffs like Los Angeles. Long term, Kareem became the face of a Lakers dynasty, winning 5 titles in the next decade. The Bucks never reached those same heights. Moses trade. The Sixers brought in Moses Malone from the Rockets, sending out Caldwell Jones and a first-round pick that turned into Rodney McCray. Philly needed a dominant center to pair with Julius Erving after falling short in the finals, and believed Malone could be that missing piece. Houston couldn't meet Malone's contract demands and chose to rebuild with younger assets. The impact was instant. Philly stormed through the regular season with 65 wins and then crushed the playoffs, losing only once and sweeping the Lakers in the final. Malone won both awards and anchored the title run. Houston dropped to 14 and 68, feeling the full impact of losing their star. McCray became a solid player, but he never changed the team's direction. Caldwell gave them leadership, but not enough wins. This trade changed the Sixers' entire future and proved how one bold move could deliver the championship they'd been chasing. Irving trade. The Celtics brought in Kyrie Irving from the Cavaliers, who received Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and 2 draft picks. Irving wanted out from LeBron's shadow and aimed to lead his own team. Boston jumped at the chance to add a proven scorer, hoping he'd push them closer to a title. Cleveland looked to stay competitive while preparing for the future. Boston finished with 55 wins, but Kyrie missed the playoffs. Even so, the team reached the conference finals and nearly knocked off Cleveland. The Cavaliers won 50 games and made the finals but couldn't handle the Warriors. Thomas never fully recovered from injury and was traded mid-season. Crowder gave solid minutes before moving on, and that Brooklyn pick became Colin Sexton. Kyrie flashed star power in Boston, but never quite clicked with the group and left after 2 seasons. Westbrook trade. The Rockets brought in Russell Westbrook from the Thunder, sending out Chris Paul, 2 protected first-round picks, and the rights to swap picks in 2 other years. Oklahoma City had just lost Paul George and chose to reset the roster, working with Westbrook to find a new path. Houston reunited Westbrook with James Harden, hoping the old duo could lead them to a title. Both teams ended the season with 44 wins, but the Rockets made it to the second round before falling to the Lakers. Westbrook had big stats, but was traded again the following offseason. The Thunder, led by Chris Paul, surprised everyone and pushed Houston to 7 games in the playoffs. Along the way, they picked up valuable draft assets for the future. Houston lost long-term flexibility, while Oklahoma City leaned into a rebuild with picks and player development. Rodman trade. The Bulls got Dennis Rodman and Jack Haley from the Spurs in exchange for Will Perdue and cash. Chicago needed a power forward after Horace Grant left, and Rodman's rebounding and defense made him the perfect fit. The Spurs were done with Rodman's off-court drama and wanted better chemistry, so they brought in a steady big man for depth. Rodman joined Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and helped the Bulls win 72 games, the best record ever at the time. They steamrolled through the playoffs and won the title over Seattle. Rodman dominated the boards and anchored the defense. San Antonio still had a strong year, but got bounced in the second round. The trade kept paying off, as the Bulls won 3 straight titles with Rodman, and he led the league in rebounding every year. The deal showed that taking a risk on a wild card can pay off huge when the fit is just right. Drexler trade. The Rockets brought in Clyde Drexler and Tracy Murray from the Blazers, giving up Otis Thorpe, Marcelo Nicola's draft rights, and a first-round pick. Houston wanted to reunite Drexler with Hakeem Olajuwon and boost their scoring for another title push. Portland honored Drexler's wish to compete for a ring and looked to rebuild with future assets. The Rockets closed the season with 47 wins and entered the playoffs as the 6th seed. Drexler stepped up big in the postseason, helping Houston repeat as champion. His leadership and scoring proved critical down the stretch. Portland didn't see much short-term progress after the trade, but the move marked a shift toward developing younger talent. The Rockets cemented their championship legacy, while the Blazers moved into a new era. Ray Allen trade. The Supersonics brought in Ray Allen, Flip Murray, Kevin Ollie, and a conditional pick from the Bucks, who received Gary Payton and Desmond Mason. Milwaukee made the deal to push for a playoff run, counting on Payton's leadership and defense. Coach George Karl had past ties with Payton and clashed with Allen, speeding up the move. Seattle knew Payton could leave in free agency, so they opted to rebuild with a younger all-star. Allen made an instant impact, averaging over 24 points. While Seattle missed the playoffs that year, Milwaukee grabbed the 7th seed, but got knocked out in round 1. Payton left that offseason, ending his short stint with the team. Allen became Seattle's franchise player and led them to the playoffs in 2005. Milwaukee never fully recovered from losing their top scorer. Kidd trades. The Mavericks first sent Jason Kidd to the Suns in 1996, receiving Michael Finley, Sam Cassell, and AC Green. Dallas made the move after chemistry issues and losing seasons stacked up. Phoenix wanted a top-tier playmaker and believed Kidd could lead their backcourt. Finley became Dallas's go-to scorer and helped shape their rebuild. The Suns stayed playoff ready with Kidd, though deeper runs never came. In 2008, Kidd returned to Dallas from the Nets in a blockbuster deal involving Devin Harris, multiple players, 2 first-round picks, and cash. The Mavericks chased veteran leadership and championship focus, while New Jersey went younger. Kidd helped stabilize Dallas and guided them to consistent playoff runs. His leadership peaked in 2011 when the Mavericks captured their first title, with Kidd playing a vital role. Meanwhile, the Nets entered a full rebuild. Shaq trade. The Heat landed Shaquille O'Neal from the Lakers, who received Lamar Odom, Butler, Brian Grant, and a future first-round pick. Los Angeles moved on from Shaq after clashes with Kobe Bryant and contract issues, aiming to reshape the team around one star. Miami saw a chance to go all in and paired Shaq with young D. Wade. The Heat jumped to 59 wins and made the conference finals, with Shaq putting up strong numbers and nearly winning MVP. The Lakers fell off, winning just 34 games and missing the playoffs. Odom showed promise and became a valuable piece. Miami cashed in the next year, winning the title behind Shaq's presence and Wade's rise. The Lakers used their return to rebuild and eventually grabbed 2 more rings with Odom helping that run. This trade flipped the league's power, proved how bold moves pay off, and showed the risks of managing superstar duos. Darren Williams trade. The Nets brought in Darren Williams from the Jazz, sending out Devin Harris, rookie Derek Favors, 2 first-round picks, and cash. Utah didn't want to risk losing Williams for nothing, especially after tensions with coach Jerry Sloan and his looming player option. The Nets wanted a star to build around and made the move ahead of their relocation to Brooklyn. Williams only played 12 games that season due to injury, but he averaged nearly 13 assists and gave the team hope. He re-signed in 2012, but the team never found real playoff success. By 2015, the Nets bought out his deal. Utah used the trade to rebuild, developing Favors into a long-term piece and drafting Enes Kanter. Harris provided veteran help, and they stayed flexible for the future. Dr. J trade. The Sixers bought Julius Erving from the Nets for $3 million, landing one of the sport's biggest stars just days before the season. The Nets were crushed by financial demands after joining the NBA, including massive fees to the league and the Knicks. When ownership backed out of a promised raise, Erving held out, and the team sold his contract to stay afloat. Philly saw the chance to grab a superstar and made the move. Erving immediately became the Sixers' leader, guiding them to 50 wins and an NBA Finals run. Meanwhile, the Nets completely fell apart, finishing with just 22 wins and relocating to New Jersey the next year. Irving helped turn the Sixers into consistent contenders and won a title in 1983. The Nets faced years of struggles. Barkley trade. The Suns landed Charles Barkley from the Sixers in exchange for Jeff Hornacek, Andrew Lang, and Tim Perry. Philly made the move after missing the playoffs and facing Barkley's frustration with the team's direction. Phoenix saw a chance to add a superstar and push for a title. Barkley instantly lifted the Suns, leading them to 62 wins and grabbing the league MVP. That same year, he carried Phoenix to the NBA Finals, where they fell to the Bulls in 6 games. The Sixers didn't find the same success, slipping further in the standings while entering a rebuild. Hornacek played well, but the team lacked star power. Barkley's arrival turned the Suns into one of the league's best teams and brought national attention. Philly started over and searched for a new identity. Kyrie trade. The Mavericks brought in Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris from the Nets, giving up Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and 3 future picks. Dallas made the move to pair Kyrie with Luka and boost their firepower in the West. Brooklyn wanted stability and depth, especially after Irving's trade request and ongoing off-court noise. The Mavericks stumbled after the deal, finishing 38th and 44 and missing the playoffs. Irving still flashed his scoring touch, but the fit took time. The Nets stayed afloat and made the playoffs, with Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith bringing balance to the roster. Kyrie re-signed that summer, and the next season helped push Dallas to the finals before falling to Boston. Things shifted fast, though. Irving tore his ACL soon after. Brooklyn leaned into a rebuild using the picks. Dirk trade. The Mavericks traded for Dirk Nowitzki's draft rights from the Bucks, along with Pat Garrity, in exchange for Robert Traylor. Dallas had done their homework and believed in Nowitzki's potential, even though he was unproven in the U.S. Milwaukee played it safe, taking Traylor, a known college standout. Dirk struggled early, but quickly grew into one of the game's top players, leading the Mavs to years of playoff runs and winning the title in 2011. Traylor gave Milwaukee 2 seasons as a role player before bouncing around the league. Nowitzki became the face of Dallas, shifted their global appeal, and redefined what a big man could do. Milwaukee's miss led to regret and changed how they evaluated international talent. This trade changed everything for the Mavericks and became a lesson in trusting scouting instincts over safe bets. It proved that one bold move on draft night can define a franchise for decades. Harden trade. The Rockets brought in James Harden, Daquan Cook, Cole Aldridge, and Lazar Hayward from the Thunder, sending back Kevin Martin, Jeremy Lamb, 2 first-round picks, and a second-rounder. Oklahoma City couldn't reach a deal with Harden, who wanted more than the team was willing to pay. With Durant and Westbrook already locked in, the Thunder chose roster balance over big spending. Houston saw Harden as a future star and gave him the spotlight. He delivered right away, averaging nearly 26 points and leading the Rockets to 45 wins and a playoff spot. The Thunder still finished with 60 wins, but lost in the second round. Martin filled the 6th-man role, but didn't match Harden's long-term impact. Harden turned into one of the league's top players, winning MVP in 2018 and leading Houston deep into the playoffs for years. This deal changed both franchises and showed how money decisions can shift the entire league. Derrick Rose. He won the Most Valuable Player award in 2011 at just 22 years old, making him the youngest MVP in NBA history. That season, he averaged 25.0 points and 7.7 assists per game on a team that finished 62-20, the best record in the entire league. The Bulls had 0 other All-NBA players that year. The entire offense ran through him, with a usage rate above 32%. He was the only player ever to hold MVP, Rookie of the Year, and All-NBA honors before turning 23. Chicago's offensive rating ranked first among top contenders that season, and Rose was the sole reason why. He was an elite rim pressure guard before the spacing era even existed, getting to the basket at rates that almost no one could match at his size. He ranked top 10 in player efficiency rating, box plus minus, and win shares during his MVP season. The Bulls reached the Eastern Conference Finals that year with Rose as the engine. Then in the 2012 playoffs, he tore his ACL. He missed the entire following season. Then he tore his meniscus in 2013 and missed nearly that entire season too. 2 catastrophic injuries in back-to-back years, both happening before he even turned 25. After those injuries, he never averaged more than 18.1 points per game again. His peak came before his physical prime even started, which is what makes his case so frustrating. The trajectory was genuinely historic before it got cut short. Grant Hill. In his first 6 seasons, he averaged 21.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 6.3 assists per game. making him one of the only players in NBA history to sustain that kind of all-around production over a multi-year stretch. In the 1999 to 2000 season specifically, he put up 25.8 points, 6.6 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game. He finished top 5 in MVP voting in 1997 and made 5 All-Star teams in his first 6 years. He was the primary ball handler at 6'8", a positionless superstar before that concept had a name, producing LeBron-type stat lines before the pace and spacing era made it fashionable. He led the Pistons in points, rebounds, and assists simultaneously across multiple seasons, which almost no forward in league history has done. Then, a severe ankle injury hit during the 2000 playoffs. Over the next 4 seasons, he played just 47 total games and required multiple surgeries, including serious complications from a bacterial infection. The injury hit at age 27, right at the start of what should have been his prime years. He still managed to play 18 total seasons, which says everything about his determination, but the explosive athletic version of Grant Hill was gone permanently after that ankle. The numbers he posted in his first 6 seasons place him in genuinely rare company, and the timing of the injury made it one of the most devastating what-if stories the league has ever seen. Yao Ming. He made 8 All-Star teams across 9 seasons and finished his career averaging 19.0 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks per game. During a peak stretch in 2006, he averaged 25.7 points and 11.6 rebounds, shooting over 53% from the field and near 90% from the free throw line simultaneously. He consistently ranked top 5 in player efficiency rating among centers across multiple seasons. He held his own physically against Shaquille O'Neal, which very few players in league history can say. At 7'6", he had elite touch, shooting efficiency, and interior dominance that made him one of the most unique offensive centers the sport had ever produced. He earned 5 All-NBA selections across his career and entered MVP conversations during his peak seasons. Then the injuries started compounding. Stress fractures, a toe infection, and repeated foot issues kept breaking his body down season after season. He missed large portions of multiple seasons due to these recurring problems. He played only 5 games after his 2009 injury before ultimately retiring. His career total came to just 486 games, an extremely low number for a player of his caliber. His prime window was ages 25 through 29, the exact year centers typically dominate at their highest level. Every one of those years got taken from him. The production profile he showed, when healthy, aligns directly with the greatest centers in NBA history. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Tracy McGrady. He won back-to-back scoring title, averaging 32.1 points per game in 2003 and 28.0 points per game in 2004. In 2003, he also added 6.5 rebounds and 5.5 assists per game, finishing 4th in MVP voting that season. He made 7 All-Star teams and 7 All-NBA teams across his career. His true shooting percentage exceeded 56% during his peak season, combining elite volume with genuine efficiency. He was 6'8", with guard-level ball handling and shot creation, a prototype for the modern heliocentric wing scorer before the league had even developed the vocabulary for it. His usage rate during peak seasons exceeded 30%, meaning the entire offense was designed around him. He entered the league straight out of high school in 1997 and reached his scoring peak before turning 25. Chronic back spasms, knee problems, and shoulder injuries started accumulating in the mid-2000s. He played only 47 games in 2006 and required in-game medical intervention, including fluid drainage and injections, just to stay on the court during stretches of his career. He never advanced past the first round of the playoffs during his prime years, which added another layer to an already complicated legacy. By 2012, his scoring average had dropped to 5.3 points per game. The gap between his peak production and his final years is one of the sharpest decline curves of any elite scorer in league history. Penny Hardaway, drafted 3rd overall in 1993, he led the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals in just his 2nd season in the league. He was a 6'7" primary ball handler before positionless basketball was a concept anyone discussed seriously. He ran the offense alongside Shaquille O'Neal, scoring and creating at an elite level while functioning as the true engine of one of the most exciting teams of the 1990s. He made multiple All-Star teams during his mid-90s peak and reached the finals before turning 24 years old. The archetype he represented, An oversized primary playmaker who could score, pass, and lead a franchise was genuinely ahead of its time. Orlando was a legitimate title contender with him running the show, and the league had very few players who could do what he was doing at his size and position. Then, a major left knee injury arrived in 1997 and changed everything. He missed large portions of the 1998 season, and the chronic knee issues that followed permanently reduced his athleticism and explosiveness. The version of Penny Hardaway that existed before that injury never came back. He never made another All-Star team after the knee problems began. His offensive role transitioned from primary creator to a reduced secondary option, as his body simply wouldn't allow him to operate the way he once had. The combination of his size, skill, and early finals appearance made his trajectory one of the most promising of his generation. And the injury arrived right before he should have entered his prime. Brandon Roy. He was drafted 6th overall in 2006 and won Rookie of the Year despite missing games during his first season. Within 4 years, he had made 3 All-Star teams, establishing himself as one of the most reliable offensive engines in the league. He averaged 18.8 points, 4.7 assists, and 4.3 rebounds per game across his career, numbers that only scratch the surface of how impactful he was during his healthy seasons. Portland built their entire offense around him from the moment he arrived, and he delivered consistently as the primary shot creator and clutch performer for the Trail Blazers. He was an elite mid-range scorer with strong decision-making, high efficiency, and the ability to take and make the biggest shots in close games. His combination of skill and basketball intelligence made him one of the most complete guards of his era. Then, the knee problems became unavoidable. He had a degenerative knee condition described as bone on bone, meaning the cartilage deterioration was not something that could be fixed with surgery or rest. It was a permanent structural problem that made playing at an NBA level increasingly impossible. He retired after just 6 seasons, having played only 341 total career games. 341. For a player with 3 All-Star appearances in his first 4 years, that number tells the whole story. The trajectory was pointing directly toward a long career as one of the best guards in the league. The condition of his knees made sure that never happened. Stat: he won Rookie of the Year in 2003 straight out of high school, and immediately established himself as one of the most explosive offensive bigs the league had seen in years. In the 2004 to 2005 season, he averaged 26.0 points and 8.9 rebounds per game on elite efficiency. During the 2005 Western Conference Finals against San Antonio, he averaged 37.0 points per game for the series, the highest scoring output of any player in that postseason. He made 6 All-Star teams and 5 All-NBA teams across his career, including a first-team selection. He was the primary finisher in the Phoenix Suns' 7 seconds or less offense, and his pick-and-roll efficiency with Steve Nash was among the highest points per possession combinations of that era. His true shooting percentage during his peak seasons ranked among the best for high-volume big men in the league. Then, in the 2005 to 2006 season, he underwent microfracture knee surgery, one of the most athletically damaging procedures a player can have. He played only 3 games that season. The vertical explosiveness that made him so devastating never fully returned. Later in his career, he suffered a detached retina and chronic knee and back issues that continued limiting him. His scoring dropped from 25.3 points per game in 2010 to 11 to 17.5 the following season. The decline was immediate and directly tied to his physical condition. Gilbert Arenas. In the 2005 to 2006 season, he averaged 29.3 points per game, and in 2006 to 2007, he averaged 28.4. He scored 60 points against Kobe Bryant's Lakers in 2006, one of the highest single-game outputs of that season. He made 3 All-Star teams and won Most Improved Player, developing from an undrafted free agent into one of the highest volume scorers in the entire league. His usage rate during peak seasons approached 35%, placing him among the most possession-dominant players in basketball at the time. He ranked top 5 in scoring in multiple seasons and was one of the best isolation scorers and shot creators the league had during the mid-2000s. He generated free throw attempts at rates among the league leaders and had a reputation as one of the most clutch scorers of his era, hitting multiple game winners across his peak seasons. Then in 2007, he suffered a severe torn meniscus in his knee. He played only 13 games in the 2007 to 2008 season, Multiple knee surgeries followed, and across the next 2 seasons combined, he played just 47 total games. He never averaged above 22 points per game again after the injuries began. His peak scoring window lasted roughly 3 full seasons before the knee problems ended it entirely. He entered MVP-level production conversations before age 26, and his career was essentially over as an elite player before he hit 30. DeMarcus Cousins. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he averaged 27.0 points, 11.0 rebounds, and 4.6 assists per game, one of the most complete statistical seasons any center had produced in the modern era. He made 4 All-Star teams and finished his career averaging 19.6 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 3.0 assists per game, making him one of the very few centers in league history to average 20 points and 10 rebounds over a full career. He recorded multiple 40-plus point games as a center and put together a 20, 10, and 5 stat line in a single game, an almost impossible combination for a big man. His skill set was genuinely rare. He could score in the post, shoot from the perimeter, and pass out of the high post at an assist rate that was historically unusual for a center. His usage rates during peak seasons ranked among the highest for any big man in the league. Then in January 2018, he tore his Achilles tendon, one of the most devastating injuries a player can suffer. Shortly after returning, he suffered a quad tear, then an ACL tear, 3 catastrophic lower body injuries in rapid succession. He never returned to all-star level production after the Achilles. His mobility, his explosion, and his ability to dominate physically were all permanently altered. He entered that injury at age 27, right in the middle of what should have been his prime years. John Wall, he was drafted first overall in 2010 and averaged 16.4 points and 8.3 assists per game as a rookie. From 2014 through 2018, he made 5 consecutive All-Star teams, and he added 1 All-NBA selection and 1 All-Defensive Team selection to his resume. He reached 10,000 career points at age 27, the youngest player in Washington Wizards franchise history to hit that mark. During his peak seasons, he consistently approached 10 assists per game while also scoring over 20 points, making him one of the most complete point guards in the Eastern Conference. He was considered one of the fastest players in league history, and that elite speed was the foundation of everything Washington built offensively. The Wizards were a consistent playoff team, with Wall as their centerpiece, and his combination of transition creation and half-court playmaking made him genuinely difficult to contain. Then chronic knee injuries began in 2017. He had knee surgery and missed 2 months in 2018. In 2019, he underwent heel surgery that was followed by a serious infection. Then, while recovering at home, he ruptured his Achilles tendon. He missed the entire 2019 to 2020 season. The explosiveness that defined his game, the elite speed that made him one of the most dangerous open court players in the league, was significantly reduced after those lower body injuries. His primary skill was taken from him before he turned 30. Bill Walton. He was drafted first overall in 1974 and won an NBA championship with Portland in 1977. That MVP season, he averaged 18.9 points, 13.2 rebounds, 5.0 assists, and 2.5 blocks per game, earning All-NBA First Team and All-Defensive First Team honors simultaneously. Portland won 50 games in their first 60 games of that season with Walton as the centerpiece. He functioned as an offensive hub at the center position, averaging 5 assists per game as a big man. Decades before that archetype had a name, he was doing what Nikola Jokic is celebrated for now, but he was doing it in 1978. Then chronic foot injuries destroyed what should have been the beginning of a long, all-time career. He suffered multiple fractures of the navicular bone in his left foot. He missed the entire 1981 and 1982 seasons. In his first 5 seasons, he played only 209 total games. Over his full career, he missed more NBA games than he actually played, which is an almost incomprehensible fact for a player who had already won MVP and a championship. He won his second championship with Boston in 1986 coming off the bench, proving his talent never disappeared. But an already proven MVP and champion losing nearly his entire career to foot injuries is one of the most genuinely unfortunate stories in league history. Ralph Sampson. He was drafted first overall in 1983 and won Rookie of the Year in his debut season. In his first 3 seasons, he averaged 20.7 points and 10.9 rebounds per game and made 4 All-Star teams, including an All-Star Game MVP award in 1985. He was 7'4", with perimeter skills, a physical profile that was almost impossible to defend. During that era, there was essentially no blueprint for stopping a player that size who could step outside and create off the dribble. He was paired with Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston to form the Twin Towers lineup, and that combination carried the Rockets to the NBA Finals in 1986. 2 of first overall picks on the same team, both in their early 20s, both producing at elite levels. The ceiling for what that pairing could become looked genuinely limitless. Then a cartilage tear in his left knee arrived in 1987, and multiple surgeries followed. He played only 43 games in 1 season after the injury. His career total came to just 456 games, roughly 61% of the games he could have played across those seasons. The mobility and athleticism that made his size so unique were directly tied to healthy knees, and once the surgery started, that version of Samson never returned. His production declined sharply, and his career wound down quickly after that. A 7'4" player with guard skills reaching the finals before age 23 is a trajectory that had all-time potential written on it. Arvydas Sabonis. He wasn't drafted until 1986, but didn't play in the NBA until he was 30 years old due to Soviet Union restrictions that kept him from entering the league during what would have been his peak years. Before he ever stepped on an NBA court, he suffered a torn Achilles tendon in 1986, an injury that at the time had devastating long-term consequences on mobility and explosiveness. Despite all of that, when he finally debuted with Portland at age 31, he averaged 14.5 points and 8.1 rebounds per game in just 24 minutes of playing time. In his rookie postseason, he averaged 23.6 points and 10.2 rebounds, numbers that immediately made clear how dominant a fully healthy prime version of would have been. He was 7'3" with point guard, passing instincts, elite shooting touch, and interior scoring ability that made him one of the most unique centers ever evaluated by NBA scouts and coaches. Medical professionals who examined him reportedly described his physical condition as resembling someone who needed disability accommodation, yet he was still nearly an all-star level player. His peak in Europe during the 1980s, including a Eurobasket MVP in 1985 and an Olympic gold medal in 1988, established him as the best player on the continent. A prime Sabonis entering the NBA in the late 1980s would have competed directly with Hakeem Olajuwon, David Robinson, and eventually Shaquille O'Neal. Andrew Bynum. He won 2 NBA championships with the Los Angeles Lakers and made the All-Star team in 2012, also earning All-NBA second team honors that season. During that 2011 to 2012 season, he averaged 18.7 points, 11.8 rebounds, and 1.9 blocks per game, establishing himself as one of the top centers statistically in the entire league. He was a traditional dominant interior presence, elite in the post, strong on the offensive glass, and capable of protecting the rim at a high level. Before injuries began disrupting his career, he showed flashes of becoming the most dominant center of his generation, including a stretch of 26 points and 14 rebounds across 5 consecutive games in 2009. He was part of 2 championship rosters and understood how to operate as a winning player alongside elite teammates. The problem was that his knees simply would not hold up. He dealt with repeated MCL tears, meniscus issues, and other knee-related problems that impacted 3 consecutive playoff runs for the Lakers. He missed 32 games in 2009 alone due to knee injuries. After his peak, 2012 season, he declined rapidly, and he was out of the league entirely by age 26 or 27, an almost unbelievable timeline for a player who had just posted an All-NBA season. He reached his highest level right before his physical prime should have been starting, and his knees made sure it never continued. Blake Griffin. He made 6 All-Star teams and 5 All-NBA teams across his career and won Rookie of the Year after missing his entire first season due to a knee injury. In the 2013 to 2014 season, he averaged 24.1 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists per game, finishing top 3 in MVP voting. He was one of the most athletically gifted forwards the league had seen in years, combining elite explosion and verticality with improving ball handling and playmaking ability. As his career progressed, he developed his shot, expanded his range three-point line, and increased his assists. Numbers to over 5 per game in later seasons, showing genuine offensive evolution. But the injuries kept arriving. Multiple knee problems, a quad injury, an elbow infection that required surgery, and recurring ankle issues all chipped away at the explosive foundation his entire game was built on. The dunking, the transition finishing, the above-the-rim presence that made him impossible to contain in his prime, all of it gradually disappeared as his body broke down. He was forced to reinvent himself as a skill-based forward later in his career because his athleticism no longer allowed him to operate the way he once had. His MVP-level season came before age 26, which means his peak arrived early and his physical decline arrived not long after. A fully healthy Blake Griffin across his entire prime window was one of the most physically dominant forwards the sport has produced in the last 20 years. Bernard King. He was drafted 7th overall in 1977, averaged 24.2 points per game in his rookie season, an immediate signal of what his offensive ceiling would become. At his peak in the 1983 to 1984 season, he led the league in scoring with 32.9 points per game. He earned back-to-back All-NBA first-team selections in the mid-1980s and became one of the most feared scorers in the sport. In 1984, he scored 50 points in back-to-back games, then followed that with a 60-point performance on Christmas Day of 1984, one of the highest single-game outputs of the entire decade. He combined elite scoring volume with over 50% shooting during his peak stretch, a combination of efficiency and dominance that very few guards or forwards ever achieved at that volume. His offensive profile relied on an elite first step, an unstoppable mid-range game, and the ability to draw fouls at high rates. Then in March of 1985, a catastrophic knee injury ended his season and nearly ended his career. He tore his ACL and meniscus while also fracturing his femur, one of the most severe combinations of knee damage any player had suffered in that era. A CL recovery in 1985 was historically unreliable, and he missed the entire following season. He never returned to All-NBA first-team level after the injury. He was actively one of the top 2 or 3 scorers in the entire league when it happened. Ben Simmons. He was drafted 1st overall in 2016 and missed his entire first season due to a foot fracture. He came back in 2017 to 18 and won Rookie of the Year, then made 3 All-Star teams across the next few seasons. His career averages sit at 13.1 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 7.2 assists per game. Numbers that look even more unusual when you factor in that he's 6'10". He's one of the very few players in league history to approach 8 rebounds and 8 assists per game simultaneously while functioning as a primary ball handler at that size. His field goal percentage for his career sits above 55%, and he earned multiple all-defensive team selections, making him one of the most impactful defenders at his position. In transition, he was essentially unguardable, using his size, speed, and vision to create layups and passes before defenses could set up. The problem was his offensive limitations in the half court. He attempted near zero three-pointers across his career and shot below 60% from the free throw line, which made him easy to scheme against in playoff situations. Teams simply put him at the line and dared him to shoot. Later in his career, back injuries affected multiple seasons and reduced his availability. His scoring dropped from the mid-teens into single digits in later years. The combination of offensive limitations and injuries prevented a player genuinely rare statistical profile from ever becoming the superstar his physical tools suggested he could be. Allen Houston. He made 2 All-Star teams and established himself as one of the most reliable perimeter scorers of the late 1990s and early 2000s. During the 1999 NBA Final, he averaged 21.6 points per game for the New York Knicks, serving as the primary offensive option on a team that reached the championship round as an 8th seed. That finals run remains one of the most unexpected postseason appearances in league history, and Houston was the engine that made it possible offensively. He was an elite catch-and-shoot scorer with one of the most mechanically consistent jump shots of his era, and he could create his own shot off the dribble at a high level for a shooting guard. He was the primary scorer on a Knicks team that was consistently competitive in the Eastern Conference during that stretch, averaging over 20 points per game across multiple seasons. His shooting efficiency and consistency made him one of the most valuable offensive players on playoff teams during his peak years. Then chronic knee injuries began eroding his availability in the early 2000s. He missed 32 games during the 2003 to 2004 season. The following year, He played only 20 games before the knee issues became too severe to continue. He retired in 2005 due to the condition of his knees and later attempted a comeback that failed because his body wouldn't allow him to return to an NBA level. A shooter of his caliber losing his prime to knee degeneration is a genuinely unfortunate end to what was a highly productive career. Gordon Hayward. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he averaged 21.9 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game as the primary offensive option for a Utah Jazz team that finished 51 and 31. He was one of the few wings in the league that season averaging close to 22 points and 5 rebounds on a playoff team, while also functioning as the primary initiator in half-court sets. His usage rate approached 27%, and his all-around efficiency made him a legitimate case for All-NBA consideration. Utah built their entire offense around him during that season, and he delivered at a level that justified the max contract he signed with Boston that summer. Then, in the very first game of the 2017 to 2018 season, he suffered a catastrophic ankle fracture that ended his year immediately. He missed the entire season and required multiple surgeries with an extended rehabilitation process. He never returned to all-star level production after that injury. His role shifted from primary offensive option to secondary and eventually tertiary scorer. As his athleticism declined following the injury, he never again averaged more than 18 points per game after his return. He entered that injury at age 27, exactly the age when elite wings typically enter their prime years and begin producing their best basketball. Instead, the injury arrived at the exact moment his trajectory was pointing upward, and the version of Hayward that existed before that game never fully came back. Chris Webber. He won Rookie of the Year and finished his career averaging 20.7 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game across over 800 games. He made 5 All-Star teams, 5 All-NBA teams, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2021. In the 2000 to 2001 season, he averaged 27.1 points, 11.1 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game, and earned first-team All-NBA honors. He was the central offensive engine of a Sacramento Kings team that had the best record in the NBA in 2002 and reached the Western Conference Finals, coming agonizingly close to the championship round. He averaged over 4 assists per game for his career, which is an elite number for a power forward, and he was one of the most skilled passing bigs of the early 2000s, operating as a high post facilitator and one of the highest rated offenses of the era. Then a major knee injury during the 2003 playoffs changed the trajectory of his career. He missed most of the 2003 to 2004 season, and the mobility and explosiveness he relied on declined after the surgery. He still played 831 total games, which is relatively low for a player of his caliber and peak production level. His career was shortened relative to where his numbers and skill set suggested he could have gone. A full prime from Webber on a healthy Kings team had a realistic path to multiple finals appearances. Baron Davis. He finished his career averaging 16.1 points, 7.2 assists, and 1.8 steals per game, and made 2 All-Star teams and 1 All-NBA third team. He led the league in steals twice and was one of the most physically imposing point guards of his era, combining elite strength with explosive downhill scoring and above-average playmaking. In the 2003 to 2004 season, he averaged 22.9 points, 7.5 assists, and 2.4 steals per game, one of the best two-way guard seasons of that decade. His most memorable moment came in the 2007 playoff, when he led the Golden State Warriors to an upset of the Dallas Mavericks, who had finished the regular season as the top seed. He averaged approximately 25 points per game in that series, delivering one of the most individually dominant first-round performances by a guard in playoff history. His combination of scoring, playmaking, and defensive production during peak seasons placed him in genuinely rare company among guards of his generation. The problem was consistency and durability. Chronic knee and hamstring injuries limited his availability across multiple seasons, and his career field goal percentage of 40.9% fell below the threshold for elite offensive efficiency. He had flashes of being one of the best players in the league, but couldn't sustain it across full seasons and years. The injuries prevented him from ever building the kind of extended peak that separates good players from all-time players, and his efficiency limitations kept him just outside MVP-level conversations even at his best. LaMelo Ball. LaMelo entered the league in 2020 as the 3rd overall pick, and it didn't take long for everyone to realize this guy was different. He won Rookie of the Year in 2021 while leading all rookies in assists, then became an All-Star in his 2nd season at just 20 years old. That's a fast rise. What makes LaMelo so entertaining isn't just that he's good, it's how he plays. He attempts deep pull-up threes, off-balance shot, and creates from angles that most guards wouldn't even consider. Defenses struggle to contest him because his release is so unorthodox. At his peak, he was putting up around 30 points and 7 assists per game, combining high-volume scoring with elite playmaking. He's one of only 2 players ever, alongside Steph Curry, to hit 33s in the first 6 games of a season. He also pulls down over 5 rebounds per game as a guard, which isn't something you'd expect from someone playing his style. His passing is. Where things get really fun though. No look, passes, wraparound feeds, full court outlets. He's using angles that feel more like street ball than structured offense. His assist to turnover ratio as a rookie was above 2.8, which is impressive for someone taking that many risks. Every possession with LaMelo feels unpredictable because the plays he makes genuinely can't be repeated. His style has been compared to Showtime guards historically, and that's not a stretch. The pace, the flair, the creativity, it's all there every single night. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson averaged 19.5 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 11.2 assists per game for his career, the highest assists per game average in league history. He won 5 championships, 3 Most Valuable Player awards, and 3 Finals Most Valuable Player awards. He led the league in assists 4 separate seasons. But the stats only tell part of the story. Magic was the engine of the Showtime. Lakers, a team literally built around fast breaks and constant movement. He specialized in the no-look passes, half-court alley, oops, and full-speed reads that left defenses scrambling. The guy controlled entire games without even needing to score. And here's the thing that makes him physically different from everyone else at his position. He played point guard at 6 feet 9 inches. That height gave him vision over defenses that other guards simply didn't have, which opened up passing angles nobody else could create. In the 1980 finals, Game 6, he played all 5 positions and finished with 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. His career playoff assists per game sits at 12.35, the highest ever. He recorded 138 triple-double, which ranks top 4 all time. He averaged 12 assists in final series multiple times, something no other player has done. The entire team's identity was built around his pace and creativity. That wasn't accidental. It was ownership's actual mandate. Fast, entertaining, and efficient all at once. That's a combination that almost never exists together. Steph Curry. Steph Curry's career averages sit at 24.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 4.7 rebounds per game. He's a 4-time champion and a 2-time most valuable player, including the first unanimous most valuable player in league history. He's recognized as the greatest shooter who's ever played the game. His career 3-point percentage is 42% on extremely high volume, and he regularly attempts shots from 30+ feet, which isn't a gimmick, it's a core part of how he plays. Defenses have to pick him up way beyond the arc, sometimes at half court, and that creates spacing distortions that open up cuts, dunks, and chaos for everyone else on the floor. Defenders even double team him without the ball. He's the only player ever with multiple seasons of 400+. Made threes, a number that had never been reached even once before him. His true shooting percentage exceeded 60% in his peak years, which is elite efficiency for someone taking that level of shot difficulty. His off-ball movement is nonstop, which means even when he doesn't have the ball, the defense is constantly reacting to him. He changed the entire league's shot selection. 3-point attempt rates across the whole league shot up directly in response to what he was doing in Golden State. He didn't just play at an elite level, he rewired how every team approached offense. That kind of impact doesn't happen often. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's entertainment value comes from something that's genuinely hard to measure. His level of ball handling precision is unlike anything the league has seen. ESPN tracking data showed he decelerated from 10.2 miles per hour to 2.8 miles per hour in 0.7 seconds on a single possession. That kind of change of pace control is exceptional. He operates with a lower center of gravity than most guards, which allows a tighter dribble radius and sharper direction change. At the rim, He doesn't rely on explosiveness. He relies on angles, spin, and touch, finishing through contact using multiple variations that most guards can't replicate. His drive efficiency numbers back this up: 1.13 points per drive when keeping the ball, and 1.21 points created per drive when passing. Both numbers are top tier. He's a member of the 50-40-90 club, which is one of the rarest efficiency benchmarks in the sport. In his Brooklyn debut, he scored 50 points, making him the first player in league history to score 50+ in a team debut. And in Game 7 of the 2016 Finals, he hit the go-ahead 3 with 53 seconds left that completed Cleveland's comeback from 3 games to 1 down. Every shot Kyrie takes is off the dribble, contested, and created without screens. That's what separates his highlights from everyone else's. The difficulty level per play is consistently at the top of the league. Jason Williams wasn't the most efficient player in the league, and that's kind of the point. His entertainment value came from what he was willing to attempt and how often it actually worked. He played for the Sacramento Kings in the early 2000s, one of the fastest paced and most pass-heavy systems in the league at the time, and that environment was perfect for him. He brought street ball style improvisation into structured half-court sets, using no-look passes behind the back feeds and his signature elbow pass, a move that became one of the most replayed highlights of that entire era. His assist-to-turnover ratio was volatile because the passes he attempted violated conventional fundamentals, and that risk versus reward dynamic is exactly what made every possession unpredictable. He had high turnover rates, but when the passes connected, they were the kind of plays fans talked about for years. In open floor situations, he could improvise in real time, creating plays that had no blueprint. He wasn't an all-NBA level player statistically, but Jamal Crawford listed him among the elite ball handlers he'd ever seen, and players around the league cited his creativity consistently. The Kings' offense emphasized ball movement and pace, which maximized his passing creativity every single night. His nickname, White Chocolate, became directly tied to his style. He remains one of the most viewed highlight players of the early 2000s despite never being a star-level statistical producer. Legacy built entirely on moments. Blake Griffin averaged 22.5 points and 12.1 rebounds as a rookie, making him the first player since 1999 to 2000 to average 20+ points and 10+ rebounds in their first season. He was the unanimous Rookie of the Year, the only unanimous winner since David Robinson at the time. His dunking was what defined him early, but it wasn't just the frequency, it was the force. He was dunking through contact in half-court sets, on alley-oops in transition, and producing poster plays on a near-nightly basis. The 2011 slam dunk contest moment, where he dunked over a car, became one of the most widely viewed dunk contest moments ever recorded. His time with the Clippers in the Lob City era created one of the most highlight-heavy team identities in league history. Chris Paul ran the pick and roll, and Griffin was on the receiving end of lob after lob, alongside DeAndre Jordan, turning that system into a non-stop highlight. He made 6 All-Star teams and 5 All-NBA rosters, so the entertainment came with real production. What people sometimes overlook is that he also recorded multiple triple-doubles as a rookie and developed legitimate ball handling and passing skills over time. His physical profile, a combination of strength and vertical explosiveness, allowed him to finish through defenders rather than around them, which is why his dunks looked the way they did. 6 All-Stars doesn't happen on highlights alone. Allen Iverson averaged 26.7 points, 6.2 assists, and 2.2 steals per game for his career. He was a 4-time scoring champion and the 2001 Most Valuable Player. He averaged over 41 minutes per game across his career, one of the highest averages ever for a guard. His entire offensive game was built on isolation, crossovers, and pull-up jumpers without screens or structured spacing. He popularized the killer crossover as a primary scoring weapon and combined elite change of pace acceleration with the ability to create shots in any situation. He regularly led the league in field goal attempts, exceeding 20 per game at his peak. That volume means possessions were consistently running through him, and the offense was almost entirely one-on-one driven. In the 2001 Finals, Game 1, he scored 48 points, the highest scoring finals debut ever. It was the only loss the Lakers suffered during the entire 2001 playoff run. He followed that with 35, 35 and 37-point games in the same series. Against Vince Carter specifically, he averaged 30.6 points per game. He produced all of this without spacing, without elite teammates in his prime years, and without relying on a supporting cast to create opportunities. Early 2000 Philadelphia was not a balanced offensive team. Iverson carried that offense through sheer volume and skill, and he did it with a play style that was completely his own. Vince Carter won Rookie of the Year in 1999, made 8 All-Star teams, and played 22 NBA seasons, one of the longest careers the league has ever seen. His dunking is what made him a global name. He won the 2000 Slam Dunk Contest with a 360 windmill, a between-the-legs dunk, and an elbow in the rim dunk that left the crowd speechless. But the most famous moment came at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, where he dunked over a 7'2" defender in what became one of the most replayed plays in basketball history. He wasn't just an athlete though. He finished his career in the top 10 all time in three-pointers made, and combined that perimeter shooting with scoring versatility in both the half-court and transition. Against Allen Iverson, he averaged 23.9 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game. In a 2001 playoff game against the Sixers, he scored 50 points. He's one of the only players ever to record 40 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals in a single game. That's an absurd stat line. What made Carter different from other dunkers was that his athleticism stayed elite across multiple eras. He wasn't just a one-generation highlight machine. He was producing above the rim plays well into his career, while also developing into a legitimate perimeter scorer with real efficiency. Power dunking combined with shooting range is a rare combination, and Carter had both. Morant won Rookie of the Year in 2020 and Most Improved Player in 2022. His career averages sit at 22.4 points and 7.4 assists per game. He's one of the most explosively athletic guards the league has produced, and the way he plays shows it on every single possession. He attacks the rim at an extreme volume, generating poster dunks, acrobatic layups, and mid-air body adjustments that most guards can't replicate. Before entering the league, he became the first NCAA player ever to average 20-plus points and 10-plus assists in a single season, and he led the entire country in assists. That playmaking ability transferred directly to the NBA. In one game, he scored 52 points on 22 of 30 shooting, which is the Memphis Grizzlies' single-game scoring record. In 2021 to 2022, he led the Grizzlies to 56 wins and the franchise's first division title in history. His drives generate both high-frequency finishes and kick-out assists, meaning defenses can't just commit to stopping one thing. The combination of speed, vertical explosion, and ball control in transition is what makes him visually distinct from other guards. Every fast break possession feels like something unexpected might happen. He collapses defenses with rim pressure and then finds open teammates when the double team arrives. At his best, he's one of the most exciting players in the league to watch on a per possession basis. Tracy McGrady won back-to-back scoring titles in 2003 and 2004. In his peak 2002 to 2003 season, he averaged 32.1 points per game with a true shooting percentage over 56% while carrying a usage rate around 32.6%. That means the Orlando offense was essentially running through him on nearly every possession, and he was still producing at elite efficiency. His career averages of 26.8 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.6 assists in 2000 to 2001 show how multidimensional his scoring was. He functioned as the primary scorer, a secondary playmaker, and a rebounding wing all at once, which was rare for a perimeter player at that time. His shot diet was built on off-the-dribble jumpers, contested mid-range shots, and late clock isolations. Smooth is the word that gets used most often with McGrady, and the stylistic comparison to George Gervin for effortless scoring is documented and accurate. In 2004, he scored 13 points in the final 33 seconds against the San Antonio Spurs, including a 4-point play and multiple contested threes. One of the most statistically improbable scoring bursts ever. Kobe Bryant and Paul Pierce both publicly stated he was among the hardest players they ever guarded. He ranked in the 98th percentile all time in points per 100 possessions, 25.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 5.7 assists in 2004 to 2005. That's a complete player. Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is the all-time leader in triple-doubles with 209. He's the only player in league history to average a triple-double in 4 separate seasons. His 2016 to 2017 most valuable player season saw him average 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists per game, the highest scoring triple-double season ever recorded. His entire play style was built around pace. He'd grab a defensive rebound and immediately push the fast break himself, eliminating the need for an outlet pass and creating faster transitions than almost anyone in the league. He was one of the highest volume transition players of his era, combining speed, strength, and ball handling to produce open court highlights at an extreme rate. Averaging double-digit rebounds as a point guard is historically rare. Most point guards don't get anywhere near that, but Westbrook did it multiple seasons. His drive frequency placed him among the league leaders in that category during his peak Oklahoma City years, and his finishing style emphasized contact, explosion, and straight-line force. His shot selection included pull-up mid-range attempts and transition threes, which made his games volatile and unpredictable. High usage created maximum opportunities for assists, rebounds, and scoring bursts in the same game. He played at near maximum speed consistently across full seasons, and the result was constant action on every single possession. Fast breaks, putbacks, chase down sequences, it was nonstop. Pete Maravich's college career, scoring average of 44.2 points per game, is the highest in NCAA history, and it's not close. He scored 43.8, 44.2, and 44.5 points per game across his 3 seasons. He did all of this without a 3-point line and without a shot clock, which means every single point came from mid-range and long-range 2-point shots, significantly increasing shot difficulty compared to modern player. He attempted nearly 40 field goals per game, the highest sustained offensive load ever documented in college basketball. His career total of 3,667 points came in just 83 games, and he did it without freshman eligibility, meaning modern players get more games to accumulate numbers. He scored 69 points against Alabama, had multiple 60-plus point games, and recorded 28 career games with 50-plus points. He also averaged 5.1 assists per game in college, so he wasn't just a scorer. He recorded a 33, 11, 10 triple-double in college as well. Beyond the numbers, he introduced behind-the-back passes, no-look feeds, and long-range shooting into a game that hadn't seen those things used consistently. He influenced the way guards played for generations. Historically, he's described as one of the most creative offensive players ever, and the college numbers alone put him in a completely different category than anyone before or after. Jamal Crawford. Jamal Crawford won Sixth Man of the Year 3 times, in 2010, 2014, and 2016. He played 20 NBA seasons, one of the longest guard careers in league history. He's one of the only players ever to score 50-plus points with 4 different franchises, which is a league record. His game was built on isolation scoring and off-the-dribble shot creation. He used hesitations, behind-the-back, dribble combinations, and step-back jumpers to manufacture space without relying on screens. The moves he became famous for, specifically the shake-and-bake hesitation pull-ups, were advanced dribble sequences that frequently produced ankle-breaking moments before converting into jump shots. He averaged around 18 to 20 points per game in multiple seasons coming off the bench, maintaining high shot difficulty throughout. At 39 years old, he scored 51 points, making him the oldest player ever to reach that mark in a single game. He's in the top 10 all-time in 4-point plays, having converted multiple 3-point shots while getting fouled across his career. He transitioned from starter to 6th man while keeping his scoring output consistent, and he managed to stay productive through 4 different decades, from the 1990s into the 2020s. Jamal Crawford listed Jason Williams among the elite ball handlers he'd seen, and players regularly cited Crawford himself for the same reason. The dribble combinations he used aren't replicated often because they're genuinely difficult to execute at game speed. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose won the Most Valuable Player award in 2011 at 22 years old, the youngest most valuable player in NBA history. That season, he averaged 25 points and 7.7 assists per game and led the Chicago Bulls to 62 wins, the best record in the entire league. He carried that offense as the primary creator on a team that was built around defense first. His career averages sit at 17.4 points and 5.2 assists per game over more than 12,500 career points and 3,700 plus assists. What made Rose different was his first step. His acceleration and change of direction were elite, even by guard standards, and he combined that speed with genuine vertical explosiveness. He attacked the rim at extremely high volume and finished with Euro steps, double clutches, and high-speed contact finishes. These weren't open layups. He was generating highlights in traffic. In the playoffs, his numbers climbed to 21.9 points per game, with multiple 25 to 30-point performances in his early postseasons. He generated offense without relying heavily on jump shooting, which was rare for a guard operating at his usage level. His combination of elite speed and elite vertical explosion at high usage is genuinely uncommon. Most guards who attack the rim that often either lack the speed or lack the finishing ability. Rose had both, and it produced a highlight frequency per game that was hard to match. Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson's career field goal percentage sits around 58 to 60%, which is elite for a high volume scorer. His career scoring average is around 24 to 25 points per game, among the highest of any active player. In his second season, he averaged 27 points per game. What makes Zion different isn't just the athleticism, it's the combination of size, strength, and explosion happening simultaneously on every play. He plays primarily inside the paint, despite being undersized for a traditional forward, and he generates scoring through strength by absorbing contact and through explosiveness via second jump ability. He was one of the fastest players to reach multiple 30-point games early in his career, with historical comparisons to Allen Iverson and Michael Jordan for that pace of production. His efficiency is what separates him from other physical players. He converts almost everything near the rim, and he does it at volume. He draws a high number of free throw attempts because of his constant rim pressure, and he rebounds at an elite rate for a forward. He produces efficient scoring without relying on a jump shot, which is genuinely rare at his usage level. One of the few players averaging over 20 points on under 30 minutes early in his career. The frequency of dunks, contact finishes, and power plays per game creates a specific type of highlight that's different from finesse scorers. Every possession he attacks is physically intense and visually distinct. Klay Thompson scored 37 points in a single quarter in 2015, the most ever in a single quarter in NBA history. He shot 13 for 13 from the field and 9 for 9 from 3 in that quarter, which is perfect efficiency on maximum volume in a 12-minute stretch. In 2018, he made 14 three-pointers in a single game, an NBA record that still stands. His scoring is built almost entirely on catch and shoot attempts and off-screen movement, which makes him different from every other player on this list. The entertainment doesn't come from isolation or ball handling. It comes from rapid-fire scoring in short bursts, driven by movement and a release so fast that defenders have minimal time to contest. He holds the record, tied for the most three-pointers made in a single postseason at 98. His career average of around 19.1 points per game came without ball dominance, which means he produced at a high level while touching the ball far less than most high scorers. His nickname, Game 6 Klay, came from repeated elimination game performances, where he produced in the highest pressure moments. He could score 10 to 15 points in a matter of minutes, making him one of the highest points per touch players ever tracked. His off-ball movement involves constant relocation, corner to wing, baseline cuts, screen navigation. While the ball is moving, so is he, which creates continuous action even during possessions he doesn't touch. John Wall. John Wall's three-quarter court sprint at the Combine measured 3.14 seconds, one of the fastest results ever recorded for an incoming guard. He was, by measurable data, among the fastest players to enter the league. His transition-first play style was built around securing the rebound himself and immediately pushing the fast break, eliminating any delay and creating end-to-end action almost every time down the floor. From 2014 through 2017, he averaged 10-plus assists per game, an offense built entirely around his decision-making at speed. He attacked primarily through rim pressure and penetration, which forced defensive collapses and open passing lanes for teammates. His transition playmaking generated alley-oops and kick-ahead passes at high frequency, producing the kind of fast break highlights that defined his peak Washington years. He was known for dunking, left-handed off his right leg, an uncommon coordination pattern that created unexpected finishes at the rim. His career assist average at peak sat around 9.2 per game, while generating 4.1 turnovers, which reflects an aggressive, high-risk style. He was the primary offensive engine for Washington, meaning nearly every possession was initiated through him. His speed also translated to the defensive end, where recovery plays and chase down sequences became a consistent part of his game. In terms of raw pace creation, few players in league history have pushed the tempo the way Wall did during his prime years in the capital. Shawn Kemp. Shawn Kemp was one of the most explosive big men the league has ever seen. His scoring was driven almost entirely by vertical athleticism, alley-oops, putbacks, and transition dunks that he generated at a rate rare for players his size. He played alongside Gary Payton in a high-frequency pick-and-roll offense in Seattle, and that system consistently produced lob finishes that became defining highlights of the 1990s. He made 6 All-Star teams and 3 All-NBA second teams, so the entertainment came alongside real production across multiple seasons. His finishing style emphasized contact dunks and over-the-top finishes, which created a higher visual impact than finesse bigs, operating at the same production level. What separated Kemp from other powerful big men of his era was that he could run the floor at high speed for his size, generating fast break dunks and trailer finishes that most centers and power forwards couldn't produce. His nickname, Rain Man, was tied directly to his above-the-rim dominance, and the identity wasn't manufactured. It came from what he actually did on the court every night. He was a constant putback threat, turning offensive rebounds into immediate dunks at a high rate. In the 1996 finals, he led the Seattle Supersonics to the championship series and showcased that athleticism on the biggest stage the league offered. He also became known for pointing gestures after dunks, which added a visual intensity to highlights that made them more memorable. Power, elevation, and personality all in one. Paul George. Paul George's career averages sit above 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, making him one of the few players in league history with consistent multidimensional production across scoring, rebounding, and playmaking. He won Most Improved Player in 2013, following a major offensive leap that year. He combines isolation scoring, pull-up shooting, and transition finishing with a smooth, fluid movement style rather than pure explosiveness. His shot creation comes from step backs, pull-up threes, and mid-range fades, giving him a varied offensive menu that's hard to scout. He also participated in multiple slam dunk contests, showcasing windmill dunks and one-handed transition finishes that proved his athleticism matched his skill level. One of the rare aspects of his game is the two-way entertainment factor. He's one of the few players with 140-plus steals and 50-plus blocks in a single season, producing chase-down blocks and passing lane steals that immediately convert into transition scoring opportunities. That means he generates highlights on both ends of the floor in the same game. He transitioned over his career from off-ball scorer to primary creator, developing his handle and shot creation after early limitations. He can now score efficiently at all 3 levels. The combination of smooth scoring and defensive playmaking is genuinely rare, and it's why his impact stays continuous across full games rather than appearing only in set scoring situations. Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards is averaging 24.6 points per game early in his career, already among the highest marks for a player his age in recent history. In the 2024 to 2025 season, he led the entire NBA in total three-pointers made. His game is built on elite explosiveness and physical strength at the guard position. He produces poster dunks, including the NBA Dunk of the Year, step-back threes, and strong contact finishes at a rate that keeps highlight frequency high every single night. His three-point shooting sits around 37% on 8 attempts per game, which combines genuine volume with real efficiency. He gets to the rim and through defenders because of strength, not just speed, which makes his contact finishes more physically intense than most guards. He's been described as a preposterous athlete with elite explosiveness, and the vertical plays he produces are comparable to the top dunkers the league has historically tracked. In playoff runs, he's produced 30-plus point per game stretches at around age 22, which puts him in historical company early. His combination of power and perimeter shooting means defenses can't simply sit back and protect the paint, which opens up both aspects of his game simultaneously. He generates rapid scoring bursts, hits multiple threes in short windows, and follows those with powerful drives. Multiple highlight types per game from a single player is a specific kind of entertainment value, and Edwards delivers it consistently. Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama won Rookie of the Year unanimously and led the entire NBA in blocks per game as a rookie. He was the first rookie ever named to the All-Defensive First Team. His physical profile is around 7 feet 4 inches with an 8-foot wingspan, one of the longest ever documented in the league. But the combination isn't just size, it's size with guard-level ball handling and legitimate perimeter shooting ability, which has genuinely never existed at that scale before. He recorded a 20-point, 10-block triple-double in under 30 minutes, the first time that had ever happened. He recorded a 5x5 game, reaching double digits in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, as the youngest player ever to do so. He's the only player in the league history to combine multiple made threes and double-digit blocks in the same game. His rim protection produced a stretch of 60-plus consecutive games with at least one block. On offense, he's a step-back three-point shooter who can also score in the post and finish on pick-and-roll actions. On defense, he can guard perimeter players and protect the rim simultaneously, which is structurally impossible for almost any other player. Every possession he's involved in defensively is altered. His statistical combinations, blocks, plus threes, plus assists in the same games are historically rare and sometimes unprecedented. He creates play types that have never existed before simply because no one with his measurements has ever had his skill level. That's the cleanest definition of unprecedented. LeBron James. Over the years, a few franchises stood in the way of his dominance, and they didn't just beat him once. The San Antonio Spurs crushed LeBron's Cleveland run in a 4-game sweep back in 2007, then smacked down the Miami Heat in 5 games during 2014. With a finals record of 5 wins and 11 losses against San Antonio, it was clear their elite passing, deep experience, and lockdown defense disrupted his rhythm every time. Then came the Golden State Warriors. They didn't just win, they kept doing it. In 2015, they won in 6. In 2017, they finished it in 5. And in 2018, a clean 4-game sweep. Golden State's insane spacing, three-point shooting, and that little addition named Kevin Durant buried LeBron's chances repeatedly. He went 7-15 against them in finals game. Dallas had its moment too. In 2011, Dirk and company outshot and outsmarted LeBron's Heat in 6 games, relying on killer pick-and-roll sets and punishing off-ball movement. Even in the regular season, Denver quietly became a problem, handing him more losses than wins. Then Minnesota sent him home early in 2025, ending the Lakers' playoff hopes in round 1. Consistent depth, floor spacing, and coaching schemes have repeatedly cracked the LeBron code. Michael Jordan, the Detroit Pistons, gave him real problems. From 1988 to 1990, they knocked his Bulls out of the playoffs 3 straight years. The Jordan rules were brutal. Double teams, hard fouls, and smart rotations forced him into tough shots and constant fatigue. Isaiah Thomas led a rugged group that used physicality and deep rosters to drag every series into a fight. Jordan eventually broke through in 1991, but not before going 10-12 in playoff games against them. The Boston Celtics got to him early too. In 1986, Bird and McHale led a sweep, winning 3 straight. Jordan scored a ridiculous 63 in one game, but that wasn't enough. The Celtics played smarter, shared the ball better, and used veteran experience to keep Chicago off balance. The Bulls weren't ready, and Boston made sure they knew it. Even the Milwaukee Bucks handed Jordan issues. He went 4-4 against them in playoff games, one of the few teams with a balanced postseason record against him. Not a powerhouse, but not an easy out either. Cleveland had moments too. He still won 14 out of 20, but those games were tight and physical. The Knicks pushed him hard with size and intensity. Utah, in 2 straight finals, forced 6 games each time. Jordan's greatness was real, but so were the teams that exposed gaps before he closed them. Steph Curry, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, but even he hasn't dodged defeat. The Cleveland Cavaliers, led by LeBron James, were the first to deliver a major blow. In 2016, after being up 3-1 in the finals, Golden State lost 3 straight and watched Cleveland snatch the championship. That loss remains one of the most painful collapses in league history. The Toronto Raptors followed in 2019. With Kevin Durant injured and Klay Thompson going down mid-series, the Warriors fell in 6 games. Toronto's physical defense, Kawhi Leonard's consistency, and their control of the pace proved too much. Curry averaged over 30 points but the supporting cast couldn't keep up. The Los Angeles Lakers added to the list in 2021, knocking the Warriors out in the play-in game. Curry dropped 37, but the Lakers clamped down late and ended their postseason hopes. Then came 2023. The Lakers again stood in the way, this time eliminating Golden State in the second round. Curry struggled with double teams, and the Lakers' size created problems across the board. That series showed how much the Warriors rely on spacing and rhythm, and how quickly it can break under relentless pressure. Even all-time greats run into smarter game plans, mismatched rosters, and fatigue. For Curry, it's never about one bad night. It's about those rare times when great teams locked in, played disciplined defense, and didn't let him breathe. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Kevin Durant. The Miami Heat were first to strike in a major way. In 2012, Durant's Thunder lost the finals in 5 games. Miami's defense forced tough looks, and their big three overpowered Oklahoma City's younger core. It was Durant's first finals and a sharp learning curve. Then came the Memphis Grizzlies, physical, patient, and defensively relentless. They gave Durant all kinds of problems. Across playoff matchups, he went 9-10 against them, one of the only teams with a winning postseason record over him. Their ability to control tempo and keep games in the half court hurt his rhythm every time. Golden State delivered the most crushing loss before he joined them. In 2016, Durant's Thunder led the Warriors 3-1 in the Western Conference Final, and still lost 4 straight defeats, capped by Golden State's pace, shooting, and defensive switches, ended Oklahoma City's run and changed the league forever. Fast forward to Brooklyn in 2021. Durant played brilliantly, but Milwaukee's defense and depth won the 7-game series. Then in 2019, as a Warrior, he fell to the Raptors in the finals, a rare finals loss for him. Durant's playoff elimination game record, 6 wins and 10 losses. In those do-or-die moments, he's been more often out than in. Whether it was Miami's aggression, Memphis grit, or Golden State's system, the trend's clear. Durant's faced elite defensive teams that knew how to wear him down. Kobe Bryant. The San Antonio Spurs were the team that beat him more than any other. Their disciplined schemes and veteran depth made Kobe work for every shot, with Tim Duncan anchoring the paint and guys like Ginobili and Parker applying constant pressure. The Lakers were repeatedly outmaneuvered in key series. It's the only long-term matchup where Kobe finished with more losses than wins. Then in 2011, Dallas delivered a shock. The Mavericks swept the Lakers in 4 straight games in the second round. Dirk Nowitzki was on fire, but it was their ball movement and spacing that really shut things down. Kobe couldn't get into rhythm, and the Lakers had no answer. Phoenix, huge problem in the mid-2000s. The Suns knocked out the Lakers in back-to-back first rounds in 2006 and 2007. Steve Nash ran the floor like a machine, and their quick tempo exposed LA's slower half-court tendencies. Kobe's scoring wasn't enough when his team couldn't match pace or rotation. The Pistons shut everything down in 2004. That finals loss wasn't even close. Detroit's defense, led by Ben Wallace and Tayshaun Prince, collapsed on Kobe and suffocated LA's offense. He had no breathing room. Then in 2008, Boston's defense overwhelmed him in the finals. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and company rotated perfectly, walled off drives, and made every possession a grind. Kobe eventually got revenge, but that first Celtics series showed exactly how elite defenses could lock him down. Larry Bird. The Detroit Pistons were the biggest challenge he faced in the East. By 1988, the rivalry peaked when Detroit knocked Boston out in the Eastern Conference Finals, winning 4-2. That loss was more than just a series. It marked a real shift in power. The Pistons' tough defense, led by Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Rodman, wore Boston down. It was physical, calculated, and effective. Bird's Celtics had a 12-12 playoff record against the Pistons, completely even. That tells the story right there. These weren't blowouts or flukes. They were battles, and Detroit found ways to exploit Boston's aging core and limit offensive flow. Earlier exits hurt too. In 1982, Boston lost in the playoffs without reaching the finals. Then in 1983, they won only 2 games before getting bounced, clearly falling short of expectations. Those years didn't get as much attention as the finals runs, but they mattered. They showed that roster issues, fatigue, or matchup problems could knock out even elite teams early. And while he never lost a playoff series to Michael Jordan, that doesn't erase the fact that Bird's Celtics racked up 65 playoff losses across 12 postseason runs. Not every year ended in glory. When Bird's teams lost, it was usually because they ran into smart physical defenses or failed to adjust. Detroit just did both, and even in years without a clear rival, Boston's depth and durability weren't always enough to close out. Magic Johnson. The first major blow came in 1983. His Lakers were swept in the finals by the Philadelphia 76ers, 4-0. That series wasn't close. Julius Erving, Moses Malone, and Philly's defense completely stalled Showtime. The Lakers couldn't run. Magic couldn't create freely. Every possession felt like it was sinking in quicksand. Then came the Boston Celtics. In 1984, the finals went to 7 games, but Boston closed the door. Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, and Kevin McHale disrupted LA's pace and made the Lakers grind. It was one of Magic's most competitive losses, but a loss all the same. Houston wasn't as flashy, but they were a problem. In 1981, the Rockets took out Magic's Lakers in the first round. In 1986, they did it, again in the conference finals. Hakeem and Ralph Sampson created matchup nightmare, bigs who could score and protect the rim. Bad news for Showtime. Then came the Pistons. In 1989, Detroit swept the Lakers in the finals. The bad boys threw bodies at Magic and shut down the fast break with pure physicality. There was no room to run. In 1990, the Phoenix Suns knocked out the Lakers in the second round. Then, in 1991, Michael Jordan's Bulls ended Magic's finals career with a 5-game series win. Jordan took over late, and Chicago's defense closed every window. Magic lost 9 finals games to Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago. He won 5 titles, but those defeats, they were earned. Nikola Jokic, despite all the brilliance, his playoff record has clear patterns of defeat. In 2020, the Lakers beat the Nuggets 4-1. LeBron and Anthony Davis pushed Denver off the floor with size, transition scoring, and tight defense. That series exposed the limits of Denver's defense and Jokic's support cast. Then in 2021, Phoenix swept them, 4 straight losses. The Suns blitzed Denver with spacing, quick ball movement, and Chris Paul pick and rolls. Denver couldn't match up on the perimeter or protect the paint. Golden State did the same thing in 2022, another series loss, 4-1. Their switching and shooting punished every slow rotation. Jokic put up big numbers, but the rest of the team crumbled. In 2019, Portland beat Denver in 7. That series showed how elite guard play and shot making could tilt a tight matchup. Denver had home court, but couldn't close. By 2024, Minnesota knocked them out in 7. Big, athletic, and organized, Minnesota limited Jokic's touches and forced others to beat them. Then in 2025, Oklahoma City repeated the formula. 4-3 series win for the Thunder. Jokic had 40-point games, but it didn't matter. He's lost 6 playoff series, mostly to teams with elite defense, deep rotations, or both. Even when Jokic dominates, those losses underline the fact that MVP play doesn't guarantee series wins, especially when facing long, switch-heavy rosters that make everything harder. Tim Duncan. For all the winning, there were cracks in the wall. The Los Angeles Lakers were the one team that beat him more than he beat them. In playoff matchups, the Spurs had 16 wins and 18 losses. Kobe and Shaq created problems no Spurs scheme could patch. The Lakers' spacing and elite wing scoring forced San Antonio's slower rotations to collapse. In 2000, the Spurs were the defending champs until Duncan's knee gave out. He missed the playoffs, and Phoenix sent them packing in round 1. The Suns stole that series, handing San Antonio a rare first-round exit. Without Duncan, the whole system fell apart. Then came Memphis in 2011, an 8 seed. They stunned San Antonio in 6 games. The Grizzlies hadn't even won a playoff series before that, but they bullied the Spurs with defense and rebound and closed them out. Detroit didn't win a full series against Duncan, but they were always a grind. Big bodies inside, slow it down play, and enough defense to make every game uncomfortable. Duncan had to work for every bucket when they met. Those losses weren't flukes. They came from elite wings, dominant front courts, or just sheer attrition. Out of 48 playoff series, Duncan only lost 13. But the ones he did lose, they came when spacing collapsed, when injuries hit, or when someone else imposed their will harder than the Spurs could resist. Wilt Chamberlain. As unstoppable as he seemed, the Boston Celtics were his recurring brick wall. In 1964, Wilt reached the finals with the Warriors, only to lose 4 games to 1 to Boston. Then came 1968, a brutal collapse. His 76ers had a 3-1 lead over Boston and lost the next 3. Then in 1969, now with the Lakers, and alongside Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, he lost to Boston again. That finals went 7 games. The Celtics were underdogs. They still won. The Celtics beat Chamberlain's teams in nearly every big moment. In 8 playoff matchups against Bill Russell, Wilt won only once. Russell's defensive positioning and team structure constantly absorbed Wilt's scoring and erased his support. But it wasn't just Boston. In the early 60s, Wilt's Warriors were bounced early by teams like the St. Louis Hawks. These weren't title-contending losses, but they kept him from reaching the big stage. Even when he had super teams, like the Lakers in 1969, his team couldn't seal the deal. That loss, against an aging Celtics squad, still defines part of his legacy. In elimination games, Wilt's record was 12-11, slightly above even. For a player that dominant, those margins mattered. His playoff record, 88 wins, 72 losses, shows success. But the defeats, they came when the pressure was highest, often with titles on the line, and with Boston across the floor. Giannis, the Toronto Raptors, were the first real wall. In 2017, they beat the Bucks in 6. Then in 2019, they knocked Milwaukee out again. This time, in the Eastern Conference Finals, after the Bucks took a 2-0 lead, Kawhi Leonard slowed down Giannis with tight one-on-one defense, while Toronto's help defenders packed the paint and forced outside shots. The Raptors closed the series in 6. Then came Boston. In 2018, the Celtics beat Milwaukee in 7. Their switchable defense and deep scoring options forced Giannis into tough angles and made the Bucks' offense predictable. It wasn't the last time Boston would give Milwaukee problems. Miami? That was a different level of disruption. In 2020, the Heat eliminated the top-seeded Bucks in 5. Then, in 2023, they did it again, this time as an 8 seed. Jimmy Butler dominated late-game situations while Bam Adebayo contained the interior. Milwaukee had no answers in crunch time. In 2025, the Indiana Pacers delivered a first-round knockout. Tyrese Halliburton's game-winning layup in overtime ended the series. Damian Lillard's injury during the series left Giannis without offensive backup, and Milwaukee couldn't recover. He's now lost 8 of 16 playoff series. Most of those defeats came from teams with elite defense, smart help rotations, or clutch scorers who could close games. Giannis dominates most matchups. But when his team can't shoot, can't stay healthy, or can't match poise, even his stat lines aren't enough. Shaq, one of the most dominant forces ever, but even he racked up some painful defeats. The first major one, Houston crushed Orlando in the 1995 finals. Shaq held his own, but Hakeem took over and swept them 4-0. That loss stuck for years. Then came Indiana, early in his Magic days. Their gritty defense and sharp execution kept him in check, even when he was putting up huge stats. It didn't always lead to a series loss, but they were constant roadblocks. Later, the San Antonio Spurs proved to be a real thorn. Shaq's playoff battles with them ended dead even, 15-15. That means they beat him just as often, no matter how big his numbers were. In 2004, Detroit shut down the Lakers stars and took the finals, 4-1. That one stung. The Pistons relied on team play and defense, not superstars. Then the Suns cooked the Lakers in 2008. By then, Shaq was older, and the firepower just wasn't there. Miami's first-round exit in 2007 was another sweep, a reminder that time waits for no center. Across his career, Shaq got swept around 6 times, early and late. Strong team systems, elite defense, and aging legs caught up. Even legends aren't immune to tough exits. Kareem. Even with 20 seasons and 6 titles, the losses told their own story. The Philadelphia 76ers were a major thorn, piling up 9 playoff wins against him. Their physical defense and balanced rosters made them a problem from his Bucks days to his final runs with the Lakers. The New York Knicks gave him trouble too. 4 playoff wins came from smart schemes and strong interior play, especially in those early 70s Eastern battles. Then there were the Golden State Warriors, who notched 10 playoff wins. Even when Kareem's teams advanced, Golden State's tempo and spacing often disrupted his rhythm and forced tough possessions. Before joining them, the Lakers had already beaten Kareem's Bucks 6 times in the playoffs. They packed the paint and doubled him hard. And the Boston Celtics took down his Bucks in the 1974 finals. That series went 7 games, and Boston's depth and half-court execution made the difference. Then in the 80s, the Celtics and Sixers both beat Kareem-led Lakers squads in the finals. These teams succeeded with smart passing, front-court depth, and constant pressure. The pattern stayed the same. Deep, balanced teams with size up front and playoff experience chipped away at Kareem's dominance. Some slowed him with double teams. Some ran the floor to exhaust him. Others just played smarter. No matter how legendary the numbers, those playoff defeats made sure Kareem's path to greatness was anything but easy. Bill Russell, the man won 11 titles, but there were still moments when even his Celtics came up short. The most glaring, 1958. The St. Louis Hawks beat Boston 4-2 in the finals. Bob Pettit lit them up, and that loss stands as the only time Russell lost in the championship round. That series was rare because almost every year, Boston walked away with the trophy. Then came 1967. The Celtics were knocked out before the finals by the Philadelphia 76ers, led by Wilt Chamberlain. That loss was a big deal. It was one of only 2 seasons where Russell didn't make the finals, and the only one during his prime, when a Chamberlain-led team actually got the better of Boston. Now, he still lost 25 total finals games. So even in years where the Celtics won the title, there were battles. Nobody swept through him, not once. That's what makes it even more impressive. Through 165 playoff games, his teams were never swept, ever. And sure, Wilt grabbed headlines with monster numbers, but there were playoff runs where his teams beat Russell. The difference was, Russell's squads usually had the defense, the chemistry, and the clutch execution. But in those rare moments, like against the Hawks or the 67 Sixers, even Bill Russell's Celtics got outmatched. Those defeats were few, but they showed his dominance wasn't untouchable. Dirk Nowitzki. For all the greatness, there were plenty of playoff defeats. The worst, 2007. Dallas had the best record, Dirk was MVP, and still the 8th seed Warriors knocked them out in 6 games. That loss rewrote expectations. Then there were the Spurs. San Antonio eliminated Dirk's Mavericks more than once, starting back in 2001 and again in 2014. Tim Duncan and that disciplined defense gave Dirk fits, especially in the paint. Before his redemption, the 2006 finals ended in heartbreak. Miami took the title in 6, with D. Wade torching Dallas in crunch time. That series flipped momentum hard. It didn't stop there. Between 2003 and 2015, the Mavericks had a string of early exits. First rounds, second rounds, didn't matter. 1 year after the title, they got the swept. Some years, they just ran out of steam. Others, they collapsed under pressure. Quick guards, perimeter-heavy teams, and tight defensive matchups hurt Dirk's squad time after time. Golden State used pace to shred Dallas's slow rotations. The Spurs beat them with balance and experience. Even after strong regular seasons, the Mavs couldn't always deliver. Dirk lost 76 playoff games and dropped 14 series. One championship defined his legacy, but those defeats shaped the story. His playoff resume was filled with peaks, but just as many valleys. Oscar Robertson. For all the numbers, the playoff defeats stacked up early and often. His Royals teams just couldn't break through, especially when running into Boston. The Celtics knocked Cincinnati out multiple times in the 60s, including a 7-game series in 1963. Even with Oscar posting near triple doubles, Boston's depth, defense, and experience sealed those outcomes. Later, with Milwaukee, he finally got a title in 1971. But 3 years later came his most painful loss, the 1974 final. That series against the Celtics went 7 games, and Boston took it. Kareem was dominant, but the Celtics' clutch play and tough schemes wore Milwaukee down. A late shot clock violation from Oscar in Game 6 turned into one of the series' biggest turning points. Before that, in Cincinnati, his playoff exits were constant. First-round losses in 1961, 62, and other years showed how far his teams were from title contention. Oscar did his part, but the Royals lacked the pieces to match up with powerhouse teams. In total, he went 46-40 in playoff games. That's a lot of close calls and short runs. The theme was always the same: Boston standing in the way or his own team falling short. The stats stayed elite. The trophies didn't. Even one of the game's most complete guards couldn't carry flawed rosters past the league's best. Kawhi Leonard, 2 rings, 2 finals MVPs. And still, teams have figured him out in big moments. The Oklahoma City Thunder handed him 10 playoff losses, more than any team. Between their star duos and relentless offense, they pulled apart defenses and exposed Kawhi's teams in tight series. Then there's Dallas. 12 wins, but 10 losses. Luka Doncic and that high-octane offense kept pushing Kawhi's defenses into rotation nightmares. Even when Kawhi delivered offensively, Dallas found ways to win playoff games across multiple years. Golden State hit him with 5 playoff losses, including the 2017 sweep when Kawhi got hurt. That injury changed the whole tone of that series, and the Warriors took advantage. Miami also notched 5 wins against him, mostly during the LeBron-Wade era, using physical defense and late-game execution to close games. Houston and Utah chipped in with a few defeats too. Smaller sample, but their pace and spacing gave Kawhi's squads trouble. Injuries didn't help either. He missed major games in 2017 and 2023. That's 2 separate playoff exits with Kawhi sidelined. Add in at least 11 elimination games across his career, and it's clear Kawhi's been tested. He's elite, no doubt, but Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Golden State have beaten him multiple times, and Miami made their mark too. In the playoffs, even top-tier defenders like Kawhi can get picked apart by schemes, health setbacks, or just stars who show up. Karl Malone. He played 19 seasons, won 98 playoff games, and still never got a ring. The Chicago Bulls were the wall he could never climb. In 1997, Malone's Jazz lost 4 games to 2 in the final. A year later, same outcome, same opponent, same heartbreak. Michael Jordan and that Chicago dynasty stopped Malone twice at the doorstep with that Game 6 steal and jumper in 1998, basically slamming it shut. But it wasn't just the Bulls. The Western Conference had its share of heartbreak too. In the early 90s, teams like the Suns and Blazers bounced Utah before the finals even felt like a possibility. And in the late 80s, the Jazz were knocked out in round 1 again and again. It wasn't always Malone's fault. He'd put up big numbers, but the roster around him just couldn't keep up with deeper contenders. Then came 2004. Malone joined the Lakers for one last push. Shaq, Kobe, Peyton, Malone, the super team on paper. But Detroit had the defense and chemistry, and the Lakers fell 4 games to 1 in the finals. That was his last shot. 3 finals trips, 11 losses, no title. Malone's playoff record ended at 19 wins and 19 series losses. His greatness was never in question, but time and again, legendary opponents, team gaps, and brutal timing shut the door on his championship hopes. Kevin Garnett, 21 seasons, 1 title, and a long list of playoff exits. The Lakers were the biggest recurring nightmare. They knocked out his Timberwolves in 2003 and again in 2004, with stars like Shaq and Kobe Bryant outmatching Minnesota's top-heavy roster. Then came the Spurs. San Antonio sent Garnett home in the first round more than once. Their system, spacing, and defense exposed the Wolves' lack of depth. Dallas joined the party too. In the early 2000s, the Mavericks swept Minnesota with perimeter-heavy attacks that stretched Garnett's defense out of the paint. Later, it was Miami, with Boston and then Brooklyn. Garnett's squads lost to LeBron-led Heat teams in back-to-back seasons. And again, with the Nets. Miami's defense and shot-making buried him late in his career. The Timberwolves lost 5 first-round series in 6 years. Garnett played great, but his team couldn't keep up. The result? 17 playoff wins and 30 losses with Minnesota. That's brutal. In total, Garnett played in 26 playoff series and lost 13. He finished with 70 playoff wins and 73 losses. No matter how intense or skilled, Garnett's teams were constantly beaten by squads with more stars, better coaching, or deeper benches. The numbers don't lie. He was legendary, but the defeats stacked up, one tough series after another. James Harden, 16 straight playoff runs, and still, the losses have piled up in ways that define his legacy. The Warriors were his biggest nightmare. Golden State knocked Harden's teams out with a 7-16 record, including that brutal 4-3 loss in 2015 and another in 2019. Switching defenses, elite spacing, and Harden's ISO-heavy style didn't mix well when the lights got bright. Then there's the Lakers. 7 wins, but 9 losses, most notably in 2020, when the Rockets got bounced 4-1. Miami has also been a problem. Harden's record there, 3-8. Their physical defense and half-court control always gave his rhythm fits. Add Portland to the list too. They beat his Rockets in a 4-2 series where Damian Lillard hit the dagger. The elimination games say even more. Harden's teams are 10-16 when the season's on the line. That includes the loss to Milwaukee with Brooklyn in 2021 and Boston in Game 7 with Philly. Most recently, another Game 7 exit against the Nuggets with the Clippers. Through 31 series, Harden has lost more than he's won. Just 1 finals appearance with the Thunder in 2012 and never back since. His playoff defeats came from elite defenses, tight moments, and often his teams breaking down when it mattered most. The numbers aren't kind, and neither is the postseason. David Robinson, one of the greatest centers of all time, but the playoffs didn't always go his way. Before Tim Duncan arrived, Robinson's Spurs were bounced from the postseason again and again. The Phoenix Suns swept them 3-0 in 1992. That team ran the floor, spread the court, and made Robinson chase guards all series long. The Utah Jazz also had his number. In 1994, they took out San Antonio with Stockton and Malone running that relentless pick and roll. Then again in 1996, Utah won 4-2, Robinson's interior defense was elite, but the Jazz's spacing and execution constantly pulled him away from the rim. In 1995, it was the Rockets. Houston beat the Spurs 4-2 in the Western Conference Finals, and Hakeem outplayed Robinson in one of the most legendary big man battles ever. That one left a mark. Even earlier, Golden State stunned San Antonio in 1991, winning 3-1 in a huge first-round upset. And don't forget Portland in 1990. The Blazers took that series 4-3. Robinson played in 27 playoff series and lost 10 of them. That includes losses to nearly every top-tier Western team of the decade. His numbers stayed strong, but those early Spurs teams lacked the depth to survive long runs. Until Duncan arrived, the playoffs were a gauntlet. Robinson couldn't get through alone. Allen Iverson, one of the fiercest scorers the league's ever seen, but the playoff wall was always looming. His most iconic run? 2001. He dragged the Sixers to the finals, took Game 1 in LA, dropped 48, and stepped over Tyronn Lue. And then the Lakers won the next 4. Shaq, Kobe, and a loaded roster crushed that miracle ride. But that wasn't the first time. In 1999, Indiana swept Philly in the semifinal. Iverson's stats stayed up, but the Pacers' defense was too much. Then in 2002, Boston took out Philly in 5. Another year, another scoring title, and another early exit. Detroit didn't make it easier. In 2003, they beat Philly 4-2. 2 years later, same matchup, worse result, 4-1. That was peak Piston, swarming defense, unselfish ball, and no space for ISO-heavy attacks. After Philly, Iverson landed in Denver. In 2007, they lost 4-1 in round 1. In 2008, it got worse. The Lakers swept them. That was Iverson's final playoff series. He ended with 30 wins, 41 losses, 14 playoff series. Only 6 went his way. He always showed up, averaging nearly 30 in the postseason. But he faced deeper teams, sharper systems, and better balance. His legacy's carved in toughness and scoring, but the defeats came loud, clear, and often. Steve Nash. Despite being one of the most gifted passers to ever step on a court, Nash's playoff path was filled with brick walls, usually wearing black and silver. The San Antonio Spurs wrecked his teams over and over again, beating him 25 times while only losing 12. Every time Nash looked close to breaking through, the Spurs' defense and execution dragged his Suns back down. Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili did not care how flashy the Suns looked. They just won. Then came the Sacramento Kings, who held the edge in playoff wins against Nash's squads, grabbing 11 to his 6. Their fluid offense and tempo often dismantled Phoenix's rhythm, especially in those gritty early 2000s matchups. Seattle didn't show up often, but in Nash's younger years, they still found time to hand him 3 losses out of 4. Gary Payton and Shawn Kemp weren't playing around. Even the Mavericks, a team Nash actually played for, handed him several postseason exits. That 6-6 playoff record with Dallas includes some painful eliminations. And the Lakers, they took 8 games off him, often led by the nightmare duo of Kobe Bryant and Shaq. Across 23 playoff series, Nash's teams lost 12. His brilliance was clear, but those playoff exits piled up. Chris Paul, one of the smartest floor generals ever, but his postseason track record, brutal. Across 15 playoff runs, Paul's teams have lost more series than they've won. 12 wins, 15 losses. The San Antonio Spurs were the first to spoil the party. Back in 2008, Paul and the Hornets went up 2-0 before dropping the next 4 out of 5. A theme was born. Fast forward to 2013, the Clippers stormed to a 2-0 lead against Memphis, only to lose in 6. The pattern just wouldn't die. 2015 might be the worst of it. The Clippers were up 3-1 on Houston, 3-1. Then came a collapse so complete, people still bring it up when talking about blown leads. It didn't stop there. In 2016, Portland got them after another 2-0 Clippers lead. Even when Paul finally made the finals in 2021, the Bucks took 4 straight after Phoenix started strong. 1 year later, Dallas did the exact same thing. Phoenix up 2-0, then face-planted in Game 7. By then, Paul had set an NBA record, the first player to lose 5 different playoff series after going up 2-0. In elimination games, he's 6-12. That's twice as many exits as wins. 1 finals trip, no rings, and way too many "what happened" moments. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.